At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we're broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Friday Night Debate, we're going to be looking at what a Boakai government will look like and the legacy of George Weah. Mr. Boakai won the elections, or the Unity Party won the elections. Transition now is in full swing, and we want to take a peek on how the Boakai government will look like. We are looking at some of competing priorities right here, and we are thinking, what will Boakai do? This is the new thing now, WWBD. What will Boakai do? Who is Boakai going to appoint in the cabinet? Because we have some competing priorities here. Will he take? We have the young people who were in the rain during the campaign. We have UP partisans and supporters who were with JNB all the way. We have those from the 12 years of the Ellen and Boakai government. Would they be the one to dominate the government? We have diaspora Liberians who are considered the experts. We also have another group that say that our time to eat too. We have those who endorse the Unity Party during the second round. Would that be the pool is speaking from? And is it being forced by the need to form a government of national unity? We also have some external factors, right? External pressure from ECOWAS, from the US, from World Bank, from IMF, from EU, from those who finance the campaign. And there are some names that are already being floated around. Morris mentioned some name, but he didn't mention my name, and I was disappointed. But we're here to talk about that also. What's the legacy of President George Weah? I have to discuss all this. The unabashed and unapologetic citizen is also the host of On Point right here on Focus on Liberia, Mr. Jerome Gaiman. Mr. Gaiman, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. A great time to be with you and the great panelists here.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Father Elijah B. Johnson. He's a Catholic priest. He's an educator and also a journalist. Mr. Washington, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mr. John. Thanks for having me on the show. It's a privilege. Mother Teresa once said that our contribution to society is just a drop in the ocean, but that ocean will be less with that little drop. So every little contribution we make on the show, I think, it make an impact for our society, for our young people. Some of us are mentors. So when we come on the show, we want to provide something that young people will learn from and make a society a better place.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Mr. J. Victor Namwe, a founding or a member of the UPP, but now he was supporting the CPP in the just ended general elections. Mr. Namwe, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Let me also welcome someone I first met in Philadelphia. You know, before I got Mr. P. Morris Kroma family, they call him the perfect manager. He is a Boakai. He supported Boakai during these elections. Mr. Kroma, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here again, Dennis.
Thank you. Let me also welcome a product of Waplo Institute from Kilipo, Kanweken, Mr. Mohammed Sharif. He is the political analyst right here on Focus on Liberia. Comrade Sharif, we call him. Welcome to the show.
Dennis, thanks for that intro. It's good to be here.
We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia. If it is Saturday, if it is Friday, it's Friday Night Debate, and let's get this started. We're looking at possible Joseph Newman Boakai government. We have the rescue team that came to rescue. The Liberian people bought what they were selling, and now we are willing to be rescued. So people are not that patient anymore because it's a rescue team. Nobody want to get drowned. When you come to rescue people, you don't tell them to wait. You don't tell them to be patient. You don't tell them to lower their expectation. They want to get out of danger. So we want to look at the possible Boakai government. And I wanted to start like this. There are people who believe, hey, I mean, this is Mr. Boakai needs to take his time. So my first question to you all that will go around the room is we're going through the transition now, and we are talking about a possible Boakai government. Even tonight, we're going to call some names. So let me start with Mr. P. Morris Kroman. I listed some competition, right? So do you think we should be talking about Boakai government now, or we should wait until after election? What's your take on our expectation? Because are we becoming so impatient to wait for Mr. Boakai to do this?
I mean, in any modern democracy, when elections happen, people build expectations towards the new government, and while they're building that expectation, they're making assumptions. They're making, a pitch, because I mean, just like you said, the country has come out of, a very dismal performance over the last 6 years, and so we're expecting, when we put out this mantra of rescuing the country from where it came from, our expectation, and most people who supported the rescue train, is to recruit competent Liberians from all around the world, whether locally in Liberia, in wherever in the diaspora, male, female, different religious orientation, different ethnic orientation. That combination of competent people, that you form an army of people, or change makers that can come to the stage and sort of drive this process for the next 6 years, so that at least Liberians can now begin to hope more than what they just experienced in the last 6 years. So I mean, that combination is going to take a lot of different turns. There will be disappointment, of course. I can tell you that, openly. It's politics. When power comes, there will always going to be disappointment. But for this government to succeed, it has to attract the best of Liberians, no matter where part of the world they are.
Thank you, Mr. Nimba.
I can give the name, but yeah, I think that's where we are.
Thank you, Mr. Nimba. What are your expectations when it comes to the Boakai government? What sort of government do you see, looking at the priorities I talk about? Those who campaign with him, the UP members, the former people from the Ellen Boakai regime, and all that. What are you expecting? What are your expectations?
Well, I mean, government is an institution. It is there's space for everyone. I believe what should drive any president would be competence. I think he should fan out as far as wide as possible to bring on board people who have the competence to do what he wants to get done. I agree that there are people who helped him along the process, and I think he should also try to accommodate those people, as you indicated. He was in the government before this immediate past government. So there are expectations that those people who came on board are coming with. He also built a coalition of other people who he brought on board. Those people also have expectations. And then there are just the general populace who also have expectations. So I think, he'll do well, as I indicated, to come in with an open mind. If he intends to make his government deliver and, on what is expected, I think he will look both within and without his inner circles and bring in those people who can do the job. I think, to Mr. Kroma's point, I think the anxiety and the expectation is being heightened by, I think, what we're all witnessing with the outgoing government. Some actors in this outgoing government are still trying to suck up the space They forgot that elections have happened. And I think this is why a lot of people want this incoming government to begin to claim some of this space so that, we all realize that, we have actually, the baton has been passed on. And it is time for these actors from the previous government to begin to exit the stage. I think this is what is increasing the anxiety.
Mr. Gilman, there's also the need to form a government of national unity. People are calling for that. Those who endorse him, really, they did that, maybe to get something. And we can see some of that in their transitional team. So with all this pressure, where you think Boakai is leaning, or what you think the government will look like?
Well, I do not believe in government of inclusion. I do not believe in government of national unity. I believe in government of philosophy. This thing about government of inclusion is a myth. And I would tell you, as a registered Republican, if a Republican candidate won the presidency in these United States, we are not going to have people tell us you have to bring in Democrats, you got to bring in Republicans, you got to bring Libertarian. No, we have a conservative philosophy, and only those who share that with us understands our philosophy will be those that will carry on our mandate and our mission. It's a mission. It's like they say, what's a
So what do you think Boakai is going to do? Get you people?
No, I'm not here to say what he's going to do. I can tell you what he should do, because he told us he's a man on a mission. So like me, I'm always on a mission. You see, I have a binder here. This binder has all my employees, the top employees that I have interviewed that will be doing the work that I'm supposed to do. So this is not a time within the next 60 days for Joseph Boakai to start interviewing and doing background check. These things should have been done. This is a rescue mission. This is something that he has done for the past 12 years. When he was vice president, he has always wanted to be president. And then the last 6 years, he was out of government. So he has sat back and done the evaluation and know where everyone belongs and who belongs where. He can't tell me now within the next 60 days, he's now going to hire, interview, do background check to put people in the place. No, that's not my expectation. My expectation is this man has a team that is ready to hit the ground running. And all we should be talking about now is measurement, goals, measurement, and outcomes, not putting a team together.
Father Washington.
Well, I have an expectation, but do I think the president-elect Boakai meet my expectation? No. What I think is going to happen is what we call presidential patronage. His cronies, his people who supported him during the elections, bureaucrats that he knew before. These few days when I see he go around, I still see the same political rascals who were in the past government who stay masquerading to get
like who? Like who?
I see Kofi Woods around. I see who else again? I see some people around. I don't want to be calling names on the show, but I
want to know the political rascals.
I know they say they're models, the same people who were in the United Party, people who Liberian call experts, but they are just political rascals who come and they just come with that mindset of coming to load the country and go back. So I see the same people around him. So my expectation is not very high. I anticipate that he will do the right thing, but I just think that he's going to satisfy people who have supported him politically, and I think that's just going to be recycling of the old people who come back, who haven't had a job in the past 6 years, who coming back again to come fill the pockets again and go back.
Thank you. We want to welcome Mr. Elvis Morris, who supported the president throughout. I think he's still leaning that way. Elvis, welcome.
Thank you. Sorry for being late.
And also Mr. Aliyu Kamara, a strong, he calls himself strong GNB supporter. Welcome, Aliyu.
Thanks for having me, Dennis.
So Aliyu, what will Boakai do? We have people from the old 12 year of Boakai Ellen regime. We have the young people that were in the rain or shine. We have the diaspora Liberian who are considered the experts. We have the push to, and he himself said he wanted to take people from all over the county to be in his government. What will Boakai do?
Well, what would Boakai do? Something that Boakai has done before. I like us to retrospect a little bit. In the Unity Party-led administration for the 12 years before George Weah, we had everybody in there. You had George Weah from the CDC, you name it. You had the Samuel Twe from the CDC, you had the Lieutenant McGill, you had all of them there in that Unity Party-led administration. Just because the Unity Party won doesn't mean it has to be Unity Party government. Remember, this is the Liberian government. So what would Joseph Boakai do? Like he said, he's going to take professionals from all walks of life, 15 counties. It doesn't matter which political party they belong. As you saw the transition team that was set up by him, okay? One of the ladies on there refused to endorse him during the second round. Mrs. Ayiko Hanyanti, she refused to endorse Joseph Boakai in the second round, but she was one of those selected on that team as well. So
what do you mean refused? They asked her to do that and she refused?
Well, they don't have to ask you when you look at a situation that
she did not endorse, not refuse to endorse.
But man, the mama talking. She refused. So because you think about this, people were endorsing because it was the most expedient thing to do, given the circumstances we found ourselves at the time. And she and some other people decided that the two guys who were in the race were not to their taste. They're not people they believe can actually take the country forward. Both Joe Boakai and George Weah. Okay, Ms. Beslow, that was her action. That's what her action implied. Yet, Joseph Boakai put her there. Don't even be surprised to see Ben Ayure around Joseph Boakai. Joseph Boakai, that's the kind of man he is. He holds no malice. He holds no grudges. You know, he considers everybody nephews, and that's how he treats people. So what will Joseph Boakai do? And what I would expect Joseph Boakai to do, put it that way, is that if this guy here who attacks Joseph Boakai all the time, called Jerome Gilman, if Jerome Gilman is a good social scientist, and Jerome Gilman has something to offer for the benefit of Liberia, regardless of the fact that Jerome Gilman is in the CDC, Joseph Boakai should bring Jerome Gilman on board. But then again, don't forget, if Jerome Gilman has somebody at his level, equal qualification within the Unity Party, then I think it only makes sense for Joe Boakai to choose a person from the Unity Party.
Mr. Sharif, what are your expectations? What will Boakai do with all these competing interests?
My expectation is that he will draw on the collection of individuals and interest groups that supported him. But before I dive into that, yesterday you had a great show, and I called in to say, you know, we cannot wait. The Liberian people cannot wait for development to start happening. You had Dr. Dukley on, who said, well, after the election, that's it. The president doesn't have to keep his promise. I mean, and all these people that are talking now, they're not going to see him. He's not supposed to keep his promise, something along those lines. And Dr. Dukley asked me, after I made my point, I saw that he was visibly upset. And he said, but if Mohammed wants to do that, why don't you go back home and build roads? Well, Dr. Dukley, here's my response to you. I was not elected president. Mr. Boakai was. And yes, if he doesn't do as he promised, yes, I will go to Liberia. I will campaign for someone else who can get that stuff done. You see, this sort of minimalism is what a 178-year-old country. I don't know if that's precise. That's what we've gone through all along. So for over 100 years, nearly 200 years. So we have to hold our heart. Just hold your heart. Just hold your heart. Just wait a little bit. Just wait a little. Don't worry. We're going to get to you. We're going to get to the roads. He clearly said that, you know, the mud will still be there. But the thing is that, and comically, surprisingly, the doctor said, well, dry season is coming. That's what Boakai meant. Dry season coming, and then, the road will be passable. No, that's not what he meant. He said the roads will be pliable in 90 days. No car is going to get stuck in the mud. And we're watching that. So no car should get stuck in the mud is one of my expectations. 76, good. So no car is 176. So no car is going to get stuck in the mud. That's one of my expectations. And within 3-4 years, get those roads paved. The money is there. So what's wrong with taking money out of people's pocket? George Weah millionaires, overnight millionaires that stole the Liberian people money. Get money out of people's pocket and build your country. For God's sake, your president had to go through Ivory Coast to get to Cape Hamas. That's a shame. That's a disgrace. So when we're talking about these things, we're talking about these issues from a patriotic standpoint, from a standpoint of doing for the Liberian people what is right. So along those lines, I like to see this coalition that some people say, well, these people were never ever there. They were never ever there for Boakai. Amara was never there. You know what? If these people were not, some of these people were not around, I don't know if Boakai carries this election. I don't care if people try to minimize what Amara Corner did. He was there at a critical moment of the campaign. He protected the ballots. He made sure that the campaign was recalibrated. People are making fun of Dylan, who was carrying a blue plastic bag around. According to, every time you talk to one of the analysts, they will tell you how Dylan, they will remind you how Dylan, and after the first round, was carrying blue plastic bag. Did you see Amar carrying blue plastic bag? He didn't carry blue plastic bag around. He has the knowledge.
So in your view, what would the Boakai government look like? Where you think he's going to get his people from?
I think that there are a lot of people. I don't know if you guys are, I don't know if you guys are having the same problem that I'm having. It looks like I'm having some internet issue, but I'll resolve that shortly. I'm looking at the collection of opposition parties that join him. You have individuals. You said we're going to call names. That we can might as well go ahead and do that. You have people like, right. So we have people. Larry Toba and others came in. They belong to a political party. Dr. Yan has been contributing to the cause. You have Tiawan Gonglo, Appleton, Lucini Kamara, guys like that. You also have, you mentioned Kofi Woods, although co-panelists said that these were the same people, but keep in mind these individuals were alongside Boakai for a long time. Don't forget. People like I'll even throw in George Lobo, who has been very consistent with Boakai. So you have people, Kabina Janet. there are names, a long list of names. You mentioned our colleague Agnes Salif, Core, and others. So you have a vast pool of talents that you can plug in to make that country better. And so that's what we're talking about. And that's not too hard.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Evers Morris. Evers, if he takes more people from the past government, or where you think he's going to pull from, he's going to pull his people from, without stepping on toes, without having, during the 6 years, we had a group called Disenchanted Seditions. So what would you expect Boakai to do so that he won't have the same disenchanted UP partisans also?
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ja. I'll go down the same line as Mr. Gaiman. In politics, people usually want to further their political ideology in terms of the people they select, in their government, especially in key positions. So I expect him, especially most of his cabinet ministers, to align with his political philosophy. But that's one of the problems that we have with Boakai. We don't really know what his political philosophy is. It's not like the United States where you have Democrats and Republicans and you know what their, the political philosophies are. I think For the most part, the most important people in government is those middle managers, people who are integral cogs in the political machine or the governmental machinery, you know. And one of the things in Liberia that I think, I don't know if they're doing enough, is performance review. You know, you have to go at every level to see the best performing employees and and keep them, and those who are not performing well, and fire them. That's the problem, because the reality is your top 20 of 15 ministers are not going to be the one that's going to transform this country. It's going to be those middle managers who are doing the work, who are on the ground, who are engaging people on a day-to-day basis. That's actually going to really make the impact. So having all these top quote unquote educated people at the top as your ministers, that's one thing. But who's the people below them and the people even below those people? So Boakai has a lot to do. He has to have performance reviews. You have to find the best and most competent people. But in key political positions, I agree that he should have people that reflect his political philosophy, because one of the things that we even have with Weah is that some people that's in his government are not aligned with him politically. And sometimes you see things like leaking information, doing things from within the inside to sabotage his government. So Boakai has to be careful about that. Make sure that he put people there that he can trust, people who will further his political ideology and further his political goals. But Liberia is not a country of quote unquote, it's not a parliamentary country where you have to form a government based on, who got the second most vote. They have to have the second most seat and things like that. You want to go in there, put your political stamp on the government and let it reflect who you are as a politician. When it comes to young people and other disabled people who wants to be part of this government and be reflected, it's about qualification. And in government, being qualified is not only just a certificate or a diploma. You have to have the requisite experience and have the track record of delivering to be in government, so that you can be effective, and that the government, the job you're doing is going to further, enhance the goals of the government. So qualifications is one of the key things, and experience is also hand in hand with qualification. So I think Boakai, if he wants to do things the right way, will go about it in a methodical way that he can actually, vet these people, make sure they have the requisite experience, have the educational qualifications, and have the track record of delivering. And that's harder to do than to say, because you have to do real research. You have to look at people's background, people's work history. So I think, for the most part, that's the hard thing to do. Most of the politicians will just be lazy and say, okay, you know what? Since you're the Minister of Information or you're the Minister of Agriculture, everybody under you, you're responsible for hiring them. And most of those people now, they're looking at their friends, they're looking at their associates, their quote unquote associates, who they've been friendly with for years. They're looking to give those people easy position, whether they have the regulatory experience, or qualifications. That's when ministry starts to fall, when you put people there who are fillers and not people who are the most qualified and the most experienced and have performed the best over the years. So I think it's going to be difficult. I think overall Liberia is a society where people, depend on patronage. When their big brother or their friends get into high positions, they expect to be in that ministry at some capacity, even if they qualify or not. So that's what I think Boakai needs to do. And one of the last things I would say before I pass the mic, Boakai is going to receive a tremendous gift when he gets in office. Whether it's going to be the full 500 million or something, around that range, from the MCC challenge that the George Weah government passed. He's going to be coming in with that money that George Weah never had when he came into office. We're going to be rewarded that money, and Boakai is going to have a lot of quote unquote extra money to play with to implement some of his projects. So I think we have to be cognizant of that he's coming in with a lot of money that we had never had. And the last thing I want us to keep an eye on, maybe it's kind of foreshadowing things, is how much is going to be left in our reserve. Compare that to what we have inherited and what Boakai inherits, or even in the considered the government accounts. So all of those things could tell you, a foreshadow how well Boakai is going to be able to do the things that he wants to do if he has the money. Mohammed said he has the money to build roads. That's not true. Our country is broke, in case you didn't know. So to build the Southeastern Road is over $1.2 billion. Where's that money going to come from? You can't get it from your national budget. You have government payroll. You have other things that you have to account for. You can't take that money to build roads. So if those extra monies are going to come in and Boakai is going to get the MCC, money, and maybe some money that, George Weah raised and put in the government accounts, he's going to be, on a good strong foot compared to what Weah did when he first came into office. Thank you.
Thank you. So,
Dennis, I think real quick, right? So the money that George Weah administration stole, some of that money can come back. So there's
How much money the George Weah administration steal?
Excuse me. So the money that was stolen by your people, some of that money can come back and help us build our country. This is not too hard.
Thank you. And do you know where that stolen money is?
Right.
Oh, we
And how
got
much
to
is
find out.
it?
We got to know now where the money is.
Can I jump in
The
here?
money is sitting. The money is sitting in European banks. Some limited amount, small amount in Liberian banks. Some of them invested in real estate and stuff like that by George Weah and others. So we need to go after that money. That money is there. How do you have poor guys, very broke individuals by their own admission, who are now wealthy? Some of the wealthiest people in Africa, and the country is very poor. We can't have that. We can't have that.
Thank you. Thank you. Maurice, let's be, and I will put some names out here very soon. But where you think Boakai going to be concentrating to bring these people? Is it from the past regime? Is it from Unity Party people like the Mo Ali, those that have been with him, or the campaigners? Because you can just employ so much, right?
Yeah.
Where you think his emphasis will be so that he don't have the early boost?
So before I jump into responding to that question, I just want to say something quickly to the point that Gayman and Elvis made. I think it's important for us to address some of these. I can enjoy the 2 minutes when they're talking about standards. I see them now saying, the JMB team, should just focus on JMB don't have philosophy. I don't know what kind of political philosophy Weah has that JMB doesn't have, and this whole idea that somehow they're using the Republican Democratic political philosophy in America and applying it to Unity Party and Joseph Boakai certainly, but they're forgetting to know that the guy they just supported for 6 years just got put out of office, but they can't use the standard on this guy. But you take a standard from the U.S., Democratic Republican Party and say somehow you want to apply to just the Boakai, who has not even taken office yet. Yes, he was vice president for 12 years, but now he hasn't even taken office yet. But, and then all this thing about, anyway, we'll leave that. That Millennium Challenge thing you're talking about, Elvis, you're providing a lot of misinformation, but it's okay. I will let that slide. We'll come back again and we'll correct it sometime later on. On the whole government configuration, Dennis, like I said earlier, I think it's going to be a combination of many different things. I think the Omen is cognizant enough to realize that it took a lot of coalition building to get him over the hump. The Omen won the election, not a big margin. So he realized how much effort it took, how many people have to come around the table, how many people have to bring their sophistication and their education. The ones that we know about as the ones that we see physically, the one that with the George Lobos of the world, the Amara Connors of the world, all these people are the people that we see physically. But there are other people also that were basically in the background that did a lot of legwork that we don't know, that were in the counties, that were, talking to family members, talking to friends, mobilizing people in the churches and in the mosque. We don't know those people. And somehow when these kind of things, when these kind of results come, as a good leader, you have to be sensitive to all of these different dimensions. Because if you don't pay attention to them, it becomes the first line of conflict that you get engaged with. Whether we like it or not, I can tell you publicly, the government cannot consume everybody. It's not possible. Right. The government can give you about 2,000 seats. And you got more than 800,000 people that voted for JMB. There's no way you can consume everybody. So the best way to do it is for the Omen to recognize each of the different institutions that are, that supported him one way or the other, and try to figure out a way to have at least and he's made that commitment, even in the campaign, that the JMB administration will be a reflection of the Liberian state. And it's incumbent on all of us to hold him to that account. So we don't see a Weah administration where, you know, the entire government came from the Southeast. We should have a government that reflects
Not true.
population. All right. I mean, you can argue, you know, whatever way you want to argue. I know for a fact that the government came from the Southeast. We can argue all you want. The government came from the Southeast. You can't have the president, the speaker of the House, the president pro tem. I mean, the most powerful people in the country are coming from the Southeast, and that's argument is
that's the government. That's the first branch of government, not the executive. You also have the foreign minister who came from Lofa.
The pro tem is in the first branch of government. The speaker of the House is
no.
in the first branch of government. The president.
Yes, the legislators are the first branch of government.
You're trying to correct me on a statement, but you even giving a flaw.
Those are not presidential appointees. Those are people elected by the party.
It's respectful for you to give me a chance to say what I want to say. Then you can counter it. When you spoke, everybody allow you to speak, so give me a chance to say mine.
Let me finish.
Yeah, let me say mine. The president of the Republic of Liberian executive branch is from the Southeast. The speaker of the House under President Weah is from the Southeast. The president pro tem, the head of the Senate, is from the Southeast. You got 3 people in the Supreme Court bench from the Southeast. If that doesn't represent the government, then I don't know what it is that the argument that you're trying to make. But my point I'm making here is that JMB made a commitment that the government under JMB will reflect the Liberian population. And I'm hoping that at the end of the day, when all of the political authority he has, not on the tenure job, not on those that are elected, but the ones that he has the opportunity to appoint, it should be reflected on the face of the population of the country. Thank you.
Maurice, those he has the power to appoint, right? But Weah did not have the power to appoint the speaker. Weah did not have the power to appoint this pro tem. What do you say about that?
Very good. I'm glad you brought that up. It's a good conversation. So, yes, President Weah did not have the authority to appoint the speaker. But President Weah acknowledged that a sedition has to be speaker. And at the point when they single-handedly selected Buffer Chima to be the speaker, the president threw his weight behind him, knowing, cognizant that he is the most powerful man in the country, and the second most powerful man from the legislature will be that president from the Southeast. And he also aware that the president of the Senate will also come from the Southeast. He acknowledged that, and he threw his weight behind him as well, publicly. It's no hidden secret. It's not like he said in marshal and said, let people go at the election, whoever win, let them win. He threw his weight behind them, and he put his, the other envelope, we'll not talk about that one there, because, but he threw his weight publicly behind those 2 people, knowing that they were from the Southeast. But I mean,
can I respond to Morris quickly?
He also know that the finance minister is from the Southeast. He couldn't do anything about that, even in a political authority, to say, okay, the government is looking too bad for us now. Let's find somebody else to put in finance ministry at least. So it doesn't seem like we just taking people from the Southeast, Maritime. They put authority. I mean, like I can go on and on with all the biggest institutions in government under Weah from the Southeast, where the political authority lies with him. He didn't do anything different. He actually continued to promote the southeastern part of the country.
Thank you.
So the whole Western Liberia, nobody from Western Liberia educated.
So let me answer Nkrumah for a minute.
Hold on, Nimba.
The names that we hear associated with the president.
Hold on, let Evis chime in first before you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Evis.
Look, Morris, I must agree with you, right? Your language is the thing that I have a problem with. Saying the entire government is from the Southeast is incorrect. Majority of the government are people who hail from the Southeast. Morris has been one of the people who say that Grand Bassa is not part of the Southeast. A lot of people in the government was also from Grand Bassa. So they're not quote unquote from the Southeast. You have perhaps the third most powerful person in the country, in my opinion, which is the foreign minister in Kimoya, who is somebody from Lopa County. One of the questions I have to ask you, how many seditionists are in the House and the Senate who represent, quote unquote, from the West or from places like Nimba or Lofa or Bakuru? How many of them are seditionists that the president should put his weight behind to be Speaker or to be Senate Pro Tem? There are many seditionists who are coming from Lofa County who are representing, CDCs in the House or in the Senate are coming from Nimba County who are representing CDC or so forth. The senators from Grand Bassa and most of the representatives from Grand Bassa are usually Liberty Party or Unity Party people. So where the CDC have the strongholds in the Southeast, that's where most of the representatives come from, in Montserrat.
Thank
so
you.
That's just a simple fact you have to understand. Thank you.
Thank you. I want us to concentrate on the Boakai government now. That was a comment, but I don't want us to spend too much time on it, on what happened in the Weah government. This is why we are so anxious. Some people are even running out of patience. They want to know. So let's see. And anytime we talk about Labrador, we never talk about south or what, northwest, northeast. It's always southeast. So let's be. And this southeast is a new term. I think it became prominent during the Weah administration. When during the past 12 years under President Salif, we didn't hear of northwest or northern Liberia, but anyway, that's a new phenomenon. I am hoping that under President Boakai, we don't have this all these terminology, dividing ourselves and placing people in buckets. I'm hearing some names now. I don't know if you are, okay? And let's form the government of Mr. Washington. I'm hearing some names, and I will call names here tonight that I'm hearing, if I'm allowed. We hear that someone like Councillor Kofi Woos for State Presidential Affairs, right? Minister of State. John Molu, Ben Governor. You have Boima Kamara, Amara Kamara Gafuan, the former finance minister under President Salif and Vice President Boakai. We're hearing that they all tap for, they are their names are around for the finance ministry. Then we hear Sarah Beslo Yanti, who, according to Mr. Kamara, refused to endorse the Unity Party, and our Ume Adme Salif. Their names are out there for the foreign ministry. We hear that Baba Gayflow and Mandela Cooper, their names out there for gender ministry. Councillor Kabina Jane for justice ministry. Councillor Tiawan Gonglo for the LACC. Our own call family for transport. And so on and so forth. So far, I've not heard my name, but maybe appointed superintendent is not that important yet. So, Mr. Washington, you hearing other names too, or?
Well, all right, like you said, we are hearing names, but for me, what I want to know if when a presidential appointment is about to take place, I think people should be looking for more ethical people who you can do your criminal background, do their criminal check, make sure, because what I get from my country is that people come on board as the expertise, the competent people, the qualified people, and when they get to power, I don't know what it is, because our corrupt culture, they just become different. They just get immersed into that culture and they start doing the same thing that other people were doing. So at the end of the day, nothing is working. The very people you call the competent people, who everybody's calling a name, you put them in one ministry and nothing is working. It's so corrupt. And everything else you thought would change would never change. So that's where my brain is kind of shaking. Yeah, these names again. Like, these people were there. I remember when John Muller came to the GSC. I mean, everybody was like excited. And I remember some time ago, they were trying to get ghosting from on the payroll, and they would send the GSC when government would go and have these pay stuff they would take in the counties to go and pay the teachers and go and pay the government employees. They would send the GSA guys to go there, would be the one to go and make sure that the right thing would be done. But the GSA guys would go there, they go to pay master, they say, just make sure put something on the side for us. The very people who's supposed to be the ones to make sure the things are clean will be the very people who will connive with the rest of the people. So nothing is working. So when I hear these names come out again, I'm like, is anything going to change? Or just the same people will be
Mr. Washington, is it a perception issue, or you really, these people are really being found guilty, or it's just what we perceived?
I think it's a cultural thing. These people, they are qualified, they are competent, but when they get themselves immersed into this corrupt culture, I don't know, they are not able to break
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. What is this corrupt culture? That's what I'm saying. Is it perception? Is it your perception?
Oh, come
Or people have actually
on,
been.
come on. How can you call the corrupt culture a perception?
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I just explained to you. Go to Liberia, go to the ministries, go there. You do nothing there, even if you have everything that it takes. And I don't blame, sometimes I don't blame the people who work there. It's because we do the people before even you get to the place. Like I'm going to get a passport. The passport is $50. Instead of just going to give my $50 and go through the process, I want to go to somebody inside and try to help me. Or the guy said he can make it fast, give me some $10, he's going to make it quicker. Because we ourselves follow that culture, because we follow that same corrupt thing. So we don't want to follow the process like, hey, it's $50, pay that $50, and you're going to get your passport, because we think that the only way you can get that passport, even though it's $50, but you have to get somebody $10, another person $5, another person $10 to be able to get that. And at the end of the day, you only get a receipt of $50. And that's the culture. And that's my fear. That's why when I hear these names again, I'm like, I want more ethical people than just people who are quote unquote qualified or competent.
And you think
let them go get foreigners now to come.
So it's not
so where you think Boakai direction, or where is he looking? Ethical people, the same people, or what do you think?
I think it's just recycling. It's just the same people who's coming back, who haven't worked in many years, the same political rascal, like I said, they're just coming back to just, you haven't worked in 6 years, so come back and get something going again.
Mr. Gaiman, if we when we see people from the past government, it wouldn't make sense. It happened with Joe Biden here, that you were there, so you look at that government, right? Past government that you serve in. Are we looking at Ellen 2.0 here?
Well, usually we are creatures of habit.
The Ellen Boakai third term.
Obviously, from what I see, when you see the likes of John Molu, when you see the likes of Kofi Woods, you see the likes of Amara Conant, now you see the likes of Gamfoan, these names that you are calling, in fact, the Maurice Kroma and the Kauyo, all of these people work in the past unity government. So, and this is not perception, this is fact. My boy Kroma is here, my friend Kroma is here. He work in the government, Kau work in the government, in the Ellen government. Kofi will work in the government. Amara Conant works in the government. Gamfoan works in the government. All of these names that you call out here, these were all.
That's Yanti.
Yeah, Yanti. These were all the early Knights. So what's the difference here? We were talking about change. We were talking about the country needs to go forward. They need new direction. People like Sharif and everybody else, this was their battle cry. Okay, and the CDCN was saying, don't take the country back. Don't take the country back. And the Unity Party was saying, if you elect this government, you will take our country back 100 years. We want to go forward. Then after they win the election, you're hearing the name that you're calling, and the name that I just, the 7 names I just called, naming one that was not in the government: Kau Famula, Maurice Kroma, Amara Conant, John Molu, Kofi Woods. I mean, you go and if I'm lying, tell me. If these people never work in the government, they work in the government, including Joseph Boakai himself. So here we are. Maybe the newest person in that group is the vice president, Mr. Jeremiah Cone. So if John Molu said that the Ellen government was the most corrupt government ever, and that administration was second headed by Joseph Boakai, and Joseph Boakai is bringing back the same old folks. What's the difference? He bringing back the most corrupt people that John Molu referred to. And these are facts. We are not guessing here. This is not perception. This is what John Molu said, and these people worked with John Molu when he was auditing them.
Mr. Kamara.
Yes, sir. Wow, it's a whole lot to unpack. But let me just throw a little jab in it. Look at the kind of people I'm sharing platform with. I mean, veterans like Brother Nangbe. We're talking about meticulous, articulate man like this man called Ja. Look at Jerome Gilman. You know, when somebody called me the other day and said that What the beginning George Lobo said he can't share platform with me. Then I kind of think I said, but what's wrong with him? These are people who actually went to school and finish it. And they can share platform with me. What about you? You know? But I just try to throw that in there. But listen, first of all, I will not speak too much about Joseph Boakai appointees, because he has not done it yet. We had this same thing, remember when Joseph Boakai was supposed to choose his running mate. We had these same kinds of forums. Oh, he was going to choose this, or he was going to choose that. Joseph Boakai is a different kind of man. You'll be surprised that most of the people you're talking about may not even be on Joseph Boakai's first team. May not. However, when a citizen say, oh, they're bringing the same old people back, what are you going to do? The retirement age in Liberia is 65, I believe. 65. I know these people 65 years old. All the people you just named. All right? So just because they were in government before, is it reasonable to argue that they should not go back in government because they were in government before? I don't understand. I don't see. Look, let's go back to the CDC. The hierarchy of the CDC, the only person I can think about who was not in the United Party administration would be Jefferson Koji. I can't see anybody else there who were not in Joseph Boakai and Ellen Johnson's administration. I can't see anyone else. The other man who they've sanctioned a few times was an assistant minister of internal affairs. How you call him? Miguel. Samuel Tua was consultant at the Ministry of Finance, making a huge amount of money. All of them, the other sycophant you called Nangbe, who is now the Maritime Commissioner. It's all over the place. The whole hierarchy. So if you would think that Liberia of 5.2 million people, and think you can form a government that will not show any old face in that government, show me how you will do it, and I will give you my entire life saving. It's not possible. The point.
Nothing there.
Yeah, we gotta tell us how much in the life saving first, so we'll know if it's worth it.
The point you must underline here is the captain of the ship. When the military is messed up, they don't change everybody in the military. They change the commander of the military. That commander determines whether the military will be bad or the military will be professional. The same thing applies to governance. If you have the right person steering the ship, it doesn't matter whether Methuselah works in a government, that Methuselah will follow the rule, because it is the leader's vision that everyone follows. The reason why the CDC government was like this and that is because George Weah doesn't even know what the word vision means. And that's why things went the way they did. If he had built upon the foundation that was built for him, and he didn't come and break it down and say he's starting all over, you're not a mason. Not talking about, you're not an engineer. But then you decide, somebody put foundation down, you decide you will break the foundation and rebuild a foundation. You don't even know how to use a tape rule. You understand? So this is the problem. So let us focus on what Joseph Boakai vision is, which direction Joseph Boakai intends to take this country. And let's not focus on who worked before, because they have not reached retirement age.
Thank you. Mr. Sharif, I threw some names out there. Just to say, because these are coming up, these are names that we hear, and nothing from Joseph Nimba Boakai, nothing from the transitional team about those names. But people are speculating based on the transitional team and what Mr. Boakai himself has said. He said his government will be a reflection. Morris quoted that, and even though that's, we can define that in different ways. But what's your take?
Yeah, I will also throw in Anthony Kessley. We forgot Anthony Kessley as well.
Mr. Policy.
Yeah. So now, what Aliu said, I agree with him. It's hard for me to agree, with Aliu a lot, but on this case, I will agree with him. Look, we may, some of the people that you don't even expect will be in the cabinet. Some of the people that we're not even thinking about will be in the cabinet, because if there's one thing that Joseph Boakai has been able to do, he has been able to surprise the Liberian people with his pick. Look at the vice presidential pick and what was going on. Who was lobbying for the vice presidential pick? That was Henry Costa. Henry Costa, expectation was he should have been vice president of Liberia. And that's why he rebelled when he was not picked. And then he became one of the biggest losers in this electionary process. So yes, that's what's going to happen. Then the names that you throw out, Dennis, they are, again, the co-panelist, Father Washington said that these are crooks, and these people are the same people. But what are you going to do with Liberia? First of all, the people that I'm naming right now, these people, when I look at these people, their hands are not dirty by our past excesses in terms of their past, as far as the war and all of these different things. When you look at that, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to say these people were appointed by the Unity Party under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, so I'm not going to touch them? Oh, these people work for George Weah, so I'm not going to touch them. Guess what? The CDC people that are talking now, they have Eugene Nangwe, who have been recycled since the NPFL days. You work with the NPFL, NPP, CDC, Unity Party, back to CDC, Unity Party, and then back to CDC. I mean, like guys with no principles. So believe me, Dennis, some of these guys, you'll be surprised, they're going to be back in this Unity Party administration. Guys like Eugene Nangwe, they're going to go now to President-elect Boakai to say, Papa, sorry, we didn't know what we were doing. They're going to go back. You're going to have a guy like Jefferson Kweji, go into the parliament and say, Uncle, sorry, I didn't know what I was doing with George Weah. Please, I beg you. This is Liberia. These guys cannot live without government job. They're going to go begging on their knees. They're going to spend everything they have begging. They're going to go down on their knees begging for jobs. And some of them, you know what? To our chagrin, to our disappointment, some of them will be successful. Okay? Some of the real crooks, because what Father Washington, the names he's mentioning, these aren't crooks to me. The real crooks that were defeated in this election, some of them are going to resurface to our chagrin. But yes, there are a lot of names out there that want to be added to your list. And Dennis, your list is a good list. It's a good list. It's a starting. Dennis, I want to add you there too as a superintendent. That's just from me. Nobody. I didn't hear from anybody. I'm adding you tonight as a superintendent for Sino County. And when you become superintendent, you have to call me to be the assistant superintendent for development in Sino. I don't care.
You're not for Sino, my man. Just be cool or go.
Oh no, we're not going to do that. See, we don't do that in the United States. How long you been in the United States? And you guys come here, you can run now to be a representative. Americans don't care about that kind of stuff. Y'all are still backward, and that's why Liberia is still backward. Okay, they don't look at all of that.
He was just joking. He was joking, Sherry. There's
a Liberian in Utah who is the mayor of a city in Utah. He wasn't born here.
It's a jargon.
I have my friend now.
I want to go to Victor.
Just real quick. So there are Liberians all over the United States who are running for position, right? So when we go back home, we have to practice. I don't care whether I wasn't born in Sino County. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter.
And my office will be open, but because what I want to do is to. I already started the economic. When you were running Boakai campaign, I didn't say anything. Right. I have organized the economic community of Southeastern County, ECOSEC.
There you go.
Right, and the goal here is
Southeastern just started on a Weah. That's why you talking here. I bet you.
Tomorrow's going to come after you for that. You know that.
All right, Mr. Nabe.
Yeah,
you have more names.
Well, first of all, I don't know how much we noticed, but the names we're floating, they seem to come predominantly from the north. I mean, Gafon is from the
Oh,
north. Uh, Americana is from the north. Alaric is from the north. Boima
Central.
Kamara is from the north. So, I just want us to be careful here.
No, I don't think you know the map too well. Oh.
Uh-huh.
Amara from the west. Lusuni Kamara also from the
Kamara is from
west.
Western Liberia. Yeah, Lusuni is come on.
Listening from the north, but he's from Central Liberia,
From
technically.
Central Liberia. That's correct.
No. Now they're doing technically now.
I'm,
We can go down to fine
Look
details.
where you
I'll take the correction. I just wanted to point that out. But the point I also wanted to make is this: we all know government is continuity. There's nothing wrong with bringing in people who serve in previous governments, as long as they're competent and trustworthy. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's also something to be said about tapping out new talent. And I agree with Jerome's first input that he made that by this time, this former vice president, this president elect, his team should have a photo of people who have already been vetted and ready to go. If they haven't done that, then I think it's just being sheer laziness. But if you've been in the game this long, you should have an idea of who you want to drive your policy, because we know every president has a vision. This president is coming in with a vision for this country, and definitely he will need people who he can rely upon to drive the vision. That is understandable, and therefore his appointment will be driven by that. Not to detract from the fact that those people have to also demonstrate the competence. And let's not make a mistake here. I heard Mr. Morris mention earlier, qualification is not the same as competence. You can have the qualification by paper and you may not be competent. So we shouldn't just concentrate on people with papers or whatever it is. We want people with demonstrated competence, people who have love for country, put patriotism on the table. I think those should be those are the factors that I think should drive the selection of whoever serves in this government. But I think before I pass on the mic, I think the reason why a number of us are a little bit kind of curious as to how this president-elect is going to launch his government is because, look, they say your past performance is what? A predictor of your future performance. This president has demonstrated an incapacity to make a decision.
Give us an example, and don't talk about CPP.
hold on,
genuine example.
Hold on, please.
But look, someone talked about his vice presidential pick. Listen, my brother doesn't want me to talk about the CPP. Look how he bungled his vice presidential pick. It almost drove his whole Unity Party asunder. They had to go to Nimba. They had to go to Basel to assuage Kanga Lawrence and her people. You understand me? So this is the thing we are watching. This is why a lot of us are watching with curiosity how he's going to make a decision. Is he really going to make this decision by himself? Is he going to just be ruling by committee and delegating this responsibility to other people? And this is why we're anxiously waiting to see how he's going to put his foot forward. And I think it's very important. He needs to reassure the country. This country right now is really divided if we go by the vote cast. So there is a need for him to reach out across the aisle. You shouldn't forget that. There are people who serve in this outgoing government who are still competent and who can serve in this government. There are people who supported this past president who may also be qualified and competent and ready to serve this president. I think those people should not be overlooked. So he has to really cast his net far and wide, attracting the best and the brightest so that Liberia makes progress. Because when this president succeeds, Liberia succeeds, we'll all be happy. So we're all rooting for them. Let's not forget the Nimba factor. Nimba actually put this president over the hill. So we have to also, that is a factor that we cannot overlook. Whether we like it or not, Senator Johnson is turning out to be a kingmaker. He supported the former President Sirleaf, she won. He supported President Weah, he won. He supported President Boakai, now president-elect he won. So he has, a constituency.
Yeah,
And
it could be a coincidence. So we can, because we have.
I did 3 times is more than coincidence, Dennis. I did 3
That
times.
is not a coincidence.
If we're going to go by
that
that,
could be
if
coincidence.
More than a
not
coincidence.
one president, what happened to him?
Yeah,
So I don't think we can overlook that easily. So
Right.
there are a lot of contending factors that this president has to juggle, and a lot of us worry how he's going to really, we can't wait to see how he's going to navigate all of these very contending forces that are surrounding him. Already, some of these people are looking down at 2029. The other day, somebody announced a scholarship program out of nowhere because people are looking down the road and they want to begin to plant their poles in the field. So he has to be careful there. So and we're wishing them well, but we want to make sure whatever they decide, it serves the country.
Thank you. And talking about his decision, right? I just want to give one example here. I want us to quickly go around the room here, right? On just one thing. And first of all, I have the Boakai 22 players here. I don't know if anybody will be able to take a pick here. We're going to draw 22 players from the Boakai team, but the election commission chief boss, David Brown Lasana. Let's just use that as a hypothetical case. Should President-elect Boakai meeting David Brown? Elvis? Yes or no?
Before I answer no, I have something pressing that I wanted to inject quickly before I answer the question.
I wanted to do this quickly. We have one more.
Yes, please allow me. I wanted to make it on my last statement, but I didn't make it. But I just wanted to say this. So Morris, for Morris' sake, during the Ellen Johnson regime, right? You had the speaker who have roots in bombing. Both of her speakers, Alice Tyler and Edward Snow. You had the Chief Justice who were from Nimba. When she first came in, you had Isaac Yenebo, who was the president pro tem, who got in there after the Accra Peace Accord. She quickly removed him and sent him to Belgium. After that, there was no Southeastern leading any head of government in that country on the Ellen Johnson in terms of the branches of government.
That's not
on the Ellen Johnson.
That's not true.
All right. Okay. Let's leave that.
You had the justice minister was from Nimba. Not the justice, but the Supreme Court Chief Justice was from Nimba.
Yes.
The speaker and the pro temps were all not from the Southeast on the Ellen time, except Asa Yenebo, who was there at the beginning of administration, and she sent to Belgium for some kind of representative position. But let me get to the point. I will use a simile. The point you're talking about, the 22 players, I will use a simile to soccer.
22. I just want us to talk about election commission chair because she's been praised even internationally that this election is a model Africans should emulate. Should be replaced.
Yes, I mean, if Boakai is going to be a person who's going to be basing his decision on hiring and firing people based on merit, definitely she should be retained. Because people like Sharif who will come and say the woman was sleeping with George Weah. She's never rigged any election since she's been a commissioner. Opposition won probably the most seats since she was commissioner. So she's been competent at her job and she's been fair. She's never cheated anybody in the election. Nobody can say any election was rigged while she was there.
Thank you, Mr. Sharif. David Brown Lasana.
Yeah. Dennis, hopefully my internet cooperates. So this man is still lying. He does not have the tape now. I asked him to bring the tape where I said David Brown Lansana was sleeping with Joshua. He said, no, I don't have to bring a tape. He's a liar.
We know you said on this platform. Many people here can't test to it.
Let us go to the Haiti. Yes or no?
There was some group in Haiti called the Tonton Mekouts that were protecting the dictators of Haiti. This guy is one of those for George Weah.
Let's go back to the issue.
The bootlegger of the status quo on George Weah largesse sitting in Minnesota. I don't care. Your man is gone. He's not going to come back. So yes, Dennis, to your question, David Brown Lansana, there was a show here and people were criticizing the commission. I said I wasn't going to come that night to criticize the commission. I actually have that tape. So she should be maintained. George Weah has slept with a lot of women. She's not one of them.
She's not one of them.
He's a womanizer. He slept with ministers and so on and so
Mr.
forth.
Sharif, let us
leave
that if we don't have proof.
Right, but I have proof of that.
You have proof of that? All the people the men slept with?
Yes.
Hold on. Let's leave that.
Yeah, in the barrel. I mean, come on, man. This guy.
I do have proof of that.
Proof of
but that's not the question. The question is, should the election commissioner be maintained? And I say yes. So that's my answer. She should be maintained.
Mr. Kroman, should we retain Deviator Brown Lasana?
No.
Why?
I think she's actually one of the worst commissioners we've had. I don't think she managed the elections properly. There was no adequate voter education. I don't think there are people in the country, actually, in my opinion, that did not vote at all, that did not receive ballots. In the first round of the elections, there were ballots still stuck in mud, that the people did not vote on voting day. They had to postpone the election to a few days later for the ballots to get there. The whole coordination around that election process, Dennis, was the worst that I've seen. I think we have people in Liberia that are better administrators than her. Announcing election result is not it for me. I mean, it's about actually the groundwork that you do to get the results.
Thank you.
Go. All the entire commission audience should go.
Mr. Washington.
Yeah, Dennis, before I just answer that question, I did make a little generalization at the beginning to say that there was political rascals that were coming around. But hey, there are still some people amongst the people that are just Boakai has who are very good people. Like Kofi Woods is a very good man. Mr. Gongo, they are very good people. So there are some good people there, but there are some also people who are, from my perspective, who are not good. So I just wanted to bring that to the fold.
Thank you.
From Lansana, I think she should be maintained, and I would expect that the evaluation will be made of the whole process, so that they can all those things that weren't good, that they can just kind of improve on it. But I think she should be maintained. All you know, do just look at improvement on the system and see how it works better for the next time.
Mr. Nambe.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a tenure position in the first place, so I don't know whether she's up for replacement or not. But is she up?
No, she's not.
Okay, but I don't think she necessarily needs to be retained. This is not a reflection on her performance or whatever it is. But hey, look, we have over 5 million people in the country. One person cannot be the most competent person in the country. She done her part, yes. And I agree with Mr. Kroman. You know, her conduct election is not the most efficient. I mean, a little country, how many people did we vote in this country? What, 2 million or so or less? Yeah. How long did it take to announce the results? You do better with the kind of budget that they're running, right? So I don't think she necessarily needs to be retained. And this is not to take brain out of anybody's mouth. But I think there are other competent people who probably could do better.
Thank you.
So she can serve in a consultancy role if they want her around, but I think they should try somebody else.
Mr. Kamara.
Yes, sir. But let's clarify something short quick, okay? Because, you know, we're disseminating information here. Yes, Evans was right that the former Chief Justice came from the North. But he forgot to notice or to realize that Bezenga Finley was in the House and he was leading the Senate pro tem.
Not from the southeast, from central Liberia.
Excuse me, sir. He came from central.
To interrupt.
He came from central Liberia.
He's on the show.
All right. You have Tyler.
Mr. Kamara, let's leave this southeast.
Yeah, I'm coming. No, I just
Mr. Ja, you gotta talk to Muhammad Sharif because I'm holding myself back. You have to talk to him. Stop attacking me because when I attack you, you want everybody will say I'm disrespectful. Tell him to leave me alone.
Mr. Sharif, please. Evans is right. Mr. Kamara, let's talk about the
Yeah, I'm coming there.
Yeah, let's leave
Evans needs to learn. Evans, and nothing wrong with him learning something.
No, I want to hear that explanation, Mr. Kamara, and I said to be correct. I want to hear it. Please, go ahead.
I'm coming to you, Evans. When you want to compare Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration with George Weah administration, you gotta understand the Southeast is one region, but Ellen had people from every region. That's a big
I don't
difference.
think this is what we should be.
The point I made was the branches of government was
Okay, all right. Let me go.
Yeah.
You should say he says he doesn't.
Why this move this country? If you even have all the jazz, I mean, my father had 14 children. We can make a cabinet, right?
No, but it doesn't work that way.
If you have all the jazz working in the cabinet and we have someone can move the country, let's do it.
No, we can't do that.
No,
we cannot do that.
Let's do. You can have each person from each county, each ethnic group, and still we have a corrupt system. What's the point here?
The point. No, Dennis, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can be wrong, but let's move on because
we're moving on.
We have people from each ethnic group or from each religion, and our country is still backward. What difference does that make?
That is not the point. The point here is when information is given and it's wrong, it should be corrected.
You corrected that. Let's move on.
Okay, thank you. The United Party government was more conclusive than, inclusive than the George Weah administration.
I don't think that should even be the criteria.
With David Eto Brown Lasana, for me, I don't think changing people all of the time actually helps a technical institution. People grow in technical institutions. In the process, they'll make mistakes.
All right. We'll retain Koji now.
David Eto, no. Listen.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Listen, you can't compare the two now.
Go ahead. I was just kidding.
Yeah. Look, David Eto Brown Lasana, let's be honest here. She hasn't been the most competent, but that was her first, massive portfolio. A job that even some men, I remember Henry Andrews died immediately after the 1997 election. These are jobs that men cannot even handle the pressure of. A woman under such a pressure. I remember 2019.
Don't be a sexist.
I could have announced the budget spoke.
No, what do you mean, man?
Well, anyway,
you got to push back on the man when he's spewing sexist rhetoric.
Evans, can you just wait? Let this man talk.
I love that again. But anyway, so she's too tall. If you look at 2020 election, that election, everybody thought the other brothers were going to cheat in favor of the CDC. Now, what we must understand here is that she may not have been as competent as we wanted her to be, but she tried to be transparent as much as possible. The thing I always tell people is, people can only give what they have. What the other brothers not give is what she had.
Thank you.
She did not try to twist anything or turn anything around. But so for this mistake that she had made and the experience that she has gathered since 2019 until now, she has presided over an election that the whole world is proud of. I don't think by change we should appreciate people when they do well, and we should compensate them when they do well. Incentivize them when they do well.
Dennis, that's the definition of minimalism. That's exactly what Mr. Sherry was saying.
Step off the stage.
Minimalism. Bare minimum. Once you can deliver bare minimum, okay, let's keep going. Because we'll bring somebody else. I mean, this is what is wrong with our society.
I got my
Thank you.
Exactly what is wrong with
all right. So talking about that, let's talk about the Boakai 22. I'm using the soccer analogy, right? Because
team becoming draw that we that you know about you want.
Yeah. No, I want you to draw the team. I mean, we should be rescued, so we don't have days to be waiting. So I picked some ministries here: presidential affairs, finance, foreign affairs, education, gender, justice, agriculture, health, information, public works, defense, internal affairs. Solicitor General, Presidential Press Secretary, EPA Director, Police Director, Ambassador to the U.S., Superintendent of Nimba, and I put that there for a reason, LACC Boss, Maritime Commissioner, Morovia State Mayor, and Budget Director. Those are 22 offices.
You forget Superintendent Sino.
No,
No
it's
longer
not.
have
It's not.
budget
It's
director.
not important.
There's
Superintendent of
nothing called
Nimba
budget
is more
director
important.
anymore. There's nothing called budget director anymore. Can you take that off? It's not. We don't have a budget director anymore.
Okay, yeah.
That's in the past. Yeah.
We'll replace that with LRA. So LRA.
Yes.
Give me some names here. Morris.
Names.
Yeah. 22 players.
Okay, so put the list up. Let me see the list again. I can probably give you some names that I think will be good for our position. So for presidential affairs, I don't mind. I think Kofi can definitely be a very good presidential affairs minister. Finance minister, I'm hoping, we bring, my standards are high sometimes. I'm hoping we can convince Antoinette Sayer to come back and either take over the finance ministry or take over CBL. I think she would be an excellent person for that position. Foreign ministry, I have not thought about it. I'm not sure about that one. Education, I think, Dr. Raquel Pele from Minister of Education. Ministry of Gender, I haven't thought about it. I'm not sure. Justice Minister, I think Cabinet Jana or Tiawan Gonglo would do very well in that role. Agriculture, I'm thinking Dr. Masakwe, but I'm not sure if he will accept it because he's been around. I think he's getting tired, but Dr. Masakwe will do well at Ministry of Agriculture. Health Minister, there's a lady at Johns Hopkins right now. I think her name is something Cooper, Lisa Cooper. She's a Liberian. She's the vice president at Johns Hopkins. I think she will be a very good health minister. Information ministry, I think we should scrap it. I don't think it's important. I think it's a waste of public resources. We need to find that ministry need to be completely out of this whole government structure thing. Public works, I don't know of a good engineer, unfortunately, that I can think of. Defense ministry, I have not thought about it. Internal affairs, no idea. Solicitor General, press secretary, I think, Charles Snyder has been with the Omen for all this long time. I don't know if he would take it, but, they could offer it to him. EPA, I think Gregor Como is an excellent choice for the EPA. Police director, I think they should give it to A.B. Kroma. I think he did an excellent job when he was deputy director of
EPA,
police.
not EPS.
Oh, EPA. Who? EPA. Who can I think of at EPA? There are so many young people that I know that got some EPA knowledge. I don't want to put names on and start calling me tomorrow and say, "My man, thank you for the promotion." I will need that. There are 5 people I know that can do a good job with it. But if I call them name right now, they'll start calling me tomorrow. Man, thank you for the promotion. So police director, I think A.B. Kroma. Can you go next? Can I see the rest of the list? That's it?
No. Ambassador to the U.S., Superintendent of Nimba,
Dennis, are you there?
LACC, LRA boss, Maritime.
Yeah.
Ambassador to the U.S. Ambassador to the U.S. and ambassador to the UN are 2 very strategic foreign positions. I don't think we have a lot of diplomats now. Most of our seasoned diplomats are retiring, and we haven't trained really good young diplomats yet. That I can somebody like Medela Cooper, I can see her playing a diplomatic role. I think she will be good in the diplomacy and gender ministry. So I think similar to Nima, I don't know. LACC boss, I think a Tiawan can also do well in that place. Maritime, not sure. I don't know too many people with maritime background. Moravia City Corporation, it's in LRA. I think those 2 places will require forceful individuals, people who don't compromise easily.
But you are from
young people.
You are from Nimba. You are from Nimba. So I put Superintendent of Nimba because will it be someone who Prince Johnson will,
Absolutely. I think Prince Johnson will handpick, the superintendent, the development superintendent, like the whole local county structure. I think Prince Johnson will have a major say in that. I mean, obviously he deserved it. You know, they worked hard for it, so he deserved it. He deserved that.
Right. I
But
was
LSCC
thinking,
and LRA.
I was
Go ahead,
thinking,
Dennis.
I was thinking, Health Minister, you were going to call me.
No, Dennis. How will I call you for Health Minister, Dennis? I can't do that. Well, if we talk about the rescue that won't rescue, we have to take the best out of the best, like I said. And some of the people that I think about that I know that are among the best are these people that I just mentioned.
They say you're not one of the best out of the best, so you out.
Because the mistake we made is we always make medical doctors to be health minister. They are not good health minister. You want to
the lady Lisa Cooper that I talk about is a medical doctor, and she has a master's degree in public health. So she's well-rounded. She's second in command at John Hopkins. Dennis, you can't compete with that woman there right now. To be honest, you can't compete with her. I'm sorry.
Let me hear from Gayman. That's just a short exercise. Mr. Gayman, at least give me 3 names.
I don't want Joseph Boakai to come out here and say my government messed up because Jerome Gayman gave me advice. So I will pass on this. But for Monrovia City Corporation, I think Dualu will do a great job. He been under the Ellen government when I was down there. He took on some very innovative things that I'd never seen before when I was in Liberia during the 2005, 2006, 2007.
The toilets?
The toilet, the cleaning up of the city, the recommendation to build waste dump, even though they didn't have the money. So he had all of those plans. I think he would do a great job in that, and I will stop there.
All right. And then 1 minute each. Just give if you want to give us some names here, Mr. Sharif.
Yeah. So for health minister, I'll go Dr. Young for health minister, Larry Tugba for education minister, Madela Cooper, minister of foreign affairs, who was disrespected on our show, but she's minister of foreign affairs. State for presidential affairs, I think I'll go with Anthony Kessley, justice, Janet, defense. I don't know, maybe Samuka, but you bring him back. He was already there, so I don't know. I'm iffy about that. Internal affairs, Ahmed Sirleaf, or you keep Vani Sirleaf. Right? Vani Sirleaf is the incumbent, so you keep him or you bring Ahmed. Ambassador to the USA. Maybe an opposition figure. Maybe it'll be Appleton. I don't know. LACC, definitely Gonglo. So right off the top of my head. And of course, I still go Superintendent Sando County. Yeah.
All right.
It's just fun, man, guys. It's just fun. Just fun.
Right. And so when you go home, let's pick the Boakai 22 and you post that on our website. That will be the exercise. And we want our viewers also to join in and post the names. Maybe President-elect Boakai is not thinking about some of these people, and maybe we should, right? Our next and final topic is the legacy of George Manneh Weah. What will Mr. Weah be remembered for? If the history books of Liberia,
my favorite part here, I love this part,
are written, George Weah, his legacy, and who should be the first to start that is someone who is George Weah leading to get the ball rolling. The unabashed and unapologetic sedition. Let's talk about the legacy of Weah for 2 minutes.
Well, the legacy of Weah is written in stone, and he's been celebrated by the world already. I think you saw today, I sent you a video where he has been awarded the global citizen, peace citizen of the world. But the president is known, we have always said it, for keeping the peace. He is the first president that ran the country without the UN participation, without the 15,000 UN peacekeepers on the ground, and he was able to keep the peace. He ran the best election in the history of the Republic of Liberia, and now being considered the best election in the history of Africa. He never rigged the election, never attempted to. He put in place a system. When he went to the UN, he told the United Nations, I'm going to run the most transparent, fair, and credible elections, and if I lose, I lose. and he did that, for which he's been commended from around the world. His legacy go as far as introduction of parks and recreation, which is very, very key to city planning, road development, those things that he brought. So when the book is written, when it's finally written, George Weah will be the best president Liberia has ever produced.
Mr. Washington, the legacy of Weah.
Thanks, Janada. Weah promised to weed out the menace of corruption. However, greed and graft have become a hallmark of his presidency. I was reading something yesterday. Since 2018, Liberia has averaged 29 points out of the possible 100 on the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index. It currently ranks 136 out of 180 countries. And in the last 6 years, before Liberia averaged 39 points. Now Liberia just averaging 29 points. So I think his government will be remembered for corruption. It's been so corrupt. And I think the reason why he was voted out was just basically because it was just corrupt all over the place, corruption all over the place. So I think that's why he'll be recognized for.
Anything positive?
Positive, I think he's done some great things. I mean, he brought electricity to the homes of people. I know some people would say it started with Ellen Johnson selling government, but I think that was something that was remarkable. He built some rules, free education for people. So I think those things will be things that people will also remember.
Thank you, Mr. Sharif. The legacy of George Mane Weah. You are muted. Unmute yourself, please.
Am I muted too?
No.
The guy, legacy, missed opportunity, so he'll be known as very corrupt, one of the most corrupt leadership that did nothing for, the Southeast where he's from, a leadership that's known for a lot of things, a president that will be known as someone who was just dancing. We never seen a dancing president. We never seen a president who was singing all around. Legacy. The president who went to the World Cup and spent 2 months while his people were dying at home. The president who is, a socialite, a womanizer, all of these different things. These are bad legacy. These are awful legacies.
Anything positive?
His what do you say? His speech. He was very magnanimous, and all across Africa now. This is especially in the sub-region. This has been talked about. So this is very, very good. So this is where Liberia wants to go. You set this kind of standard, so that others this will be replicated in other regions of Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Kamara.
Yeah, legacy. One-time president. The president who looked at a whole runway, airplane runway, and put a park there.
Right there?
Huh?
Oh, park. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the man put park on the airport runway. Very smart president.
Was it on the runway he put the airport? Put the park?
Yeah, at the back there at the front.
I said, was it on the runway? That's the question.
Oh. Now go to the place, go see what I said. That particular thing, if you put a Boeing 788 on that thing right there, they would just kind of just run straight through the tonight. But let me tell you this. This man, to be honest with you, this man's legacy is damaged. This is the only football player who was world best and all the best. Ran an entire country for 6 years. A country qualified for nothing. He did not produce any professional players in Europe, in major leagues. He failed in his area of expertise. But the legacy remains that George Weah is one of the most educated African leaders by statistics. So I think that's the only good thing he has.
Thank you. Mr. Nabi.
I think, internationally, I think he will be remembered for peacefully and conceding to the election result as a sitting president, which is uncommon on the African continent. So I think he will be recorded in history for that. And I think even locally, a lot of us will appreciate that. He did not drag the country in, confusion, challenges here and there. So he'll be remembered for that. Locally, I think he will also be remembered for the number of killings that took place under this president that went unsolved. I mean, we probably have to look back at the Samuel Doe government, which is a military government, uh, to compare that number of deaths within 6 years. So I think he will be remembered for that. He will be remembered for never meeting the press during his entire time. He refused to hold a press conference and never did that. He will really remembered for never reshuffling, in spite of all the stories of corruption. Um, he never once reshuffled. Um, it's only now, I think, yesterday or so, he's actually dismissing people for whatever reason. He will be remembered for being an artist. He made lots of music and danced when people were out in the streets looking for gasoline and rice. So he'll be remembered for all of those. Um, but he is a very likable guy. So I'm sure people will find a lot of good things to like him for. I think somebody already indicated the first president in almost 150 years who was not really elected, a sitting president. I think he will go down in history for that. Um, as to the good things, I believe we've already said that he conceded. I think that's a real big deal.
How about the proposed suit, the WIAC fees, the free tuition?
Well, should we credit him? I mean, those suits have been around before he came in, but I guess we can say, he kind of highlighted them, and so a lot of us are wearing them now. So that is something that will probably go to him as well. But this president had an opportunity. He refused to rein in his inner cabinet.
Thank you.
I think that is what most politicians will remember him for.
Thank you.
He had
Elvis.
people running rings around him, refused to rein them in. The Jefferson Koji, the Mova Molu, people saying things and doing things around him. I mean, the Lin Eugene Nagbe, that's all of these people. I think he would have done a better job managing his team.
Thank you. Elvis.
All right, thank you. George Weah, builder of Propel Homes, a certified footballing genius, a builder of roads, a true Democrat, a peaceful citizen of the Republic of Liberia. George Weah, payer of wax and free tuition for Liberian students. All right. George Weah, a man who is quiet, soft-spoken, but who loved the people of Liberia, who went there to them in a time of need, who never turned his back on his people, spent his own money, millions of dollars to support the Liberian football team. A true philanthropist, George Weah. On some of the bad things, like people said, he didn't reshuffle his cabinet. He was, elected for only one term, at least one successive, term, to come back and win a second term. We wait to see. Somebody who wasn't as tough on crime as many of us would hope, But overall, I think his legacy would be positive, especially on the international stage, because most of these people in the international world, they don't know the nitty gritty of what happened in Liberia. They will look at him for his, his footballing prowess. They will look at him for conceding. They will look at him for actually winning the presidency in Liberia in the first place, which many, many people strive to do, but they never achieve it. Many of them will never achieve it. So he has achieved a lot, but he has some shortcomings. But overall, he has a positive legacy, especially on the international stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kroman.
The fact that you made me last on this one, because everything I wanted to say, people have said it. I'm just gonna agree with everything. For the most part, everyone said about the Weah legacy. I think, in the first year of his presidency, building these condominiums and refurbishing his home and buying flashy cars and buying expensive sneakers and shoes and dressing just to show off, and those kinds of things are going to follow him. He seemed to be disconnected from the realities of many Liberians, especially those in poverty-stricken communities. Weah comes across as flamboyant and showing off with wealth. When he was only the president, flying private jet and leaving the country for, whatever long time that he was out of the country. I think the best thing that we'll be remembered for throughout his entire 6 years is the fact that he was magnanimous enough to accept the election result. That, I gave him kudos, and I can say it any day. I think Weah will go down in history for that one purpose. Because even now, seditionists are still angry and they're thinking about expelling him from the party. He accepted the election result in good faith. I thought that was really brilliant of him. Beyond that, there's nothing else I can point to that I say Weah did in Liberia that we can remember. I think, he's one of the worst that we've seen in Liberia presidency. I think even worse than Tottenham, if you ask me.
Hi, my name is Addie Tyler from Pennsylvania, and you're watching Focus on Liberia.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be part of the conversation, please call the number that's on your screen, 605-313-6004. The code is 791403#. And since we are here, I just want to we just want to have something corrected here. There was information going around about what if the president of Liberia, anything happens to him before inauguration, what will happen? I've seen a lot of posts about that. Anyone saying otherwise maybe have not read the Liberian Constitution. The Liberian Constitution, Article 63A says, whenever a person elected to the office of president dies or is otherwise incapacitated before being inaugurated into office, the vice president elected shall succeed to the office of the president, and this ascension shall commence a term. So anything happened to a president before the president is inaugurated, the vice president takes over. Anyone who was in doubt?
How did this come about, Dennis?
All right.
There was a lot of posting today and the week about presidential succession, and people were saying all kinds of things. So I want to just clarify that, just for the sake of our audience.
Okay, I just curious as how it came about.
Yeah, I've seen people have asked me, people have posted talking about this. So I thought it's very clear in the Constitution, Article 63A. All right, let's read some comments here while we wait for our callers to call in. I see a lot of calls coming in. If you have not done so already, please do so. Our friend Maurice Croman will be leaving. I thought there were people who were giving the legacy. Nobody giving the legacy here.
Somebody said he was never invited to the White House, but I think that's not true. Remember when he was in the White House with, I think, 5 other presidents, met with Biden and the selfie and all that.
Yeah, and I don't know if that should really be a big deal to me.
Right.
You don't have to go to the White House.
It is embarrassing to make another guy invite you to the house as a badge of honor. It's a disgrace.
Sam Wallace said Joy Weah will be remembered for passage of dual citizenship. That's a big legal shift in Liberian law in more than a century, and for corruption and being a one-term president. Massa Colley, Weah built more houses for himself than any president of Liberia.
Well, take those houses back and build roads.
If somebody asking for the access code, sorry, it's 791403#. we will take a short break. When we come back, we're going to bring in our callers. Charge me for that.
Our country, sweet country, our country, that God gave us this country. That God gave us this country. We are calling on everyone here to come and pray for this country. God gave us this country.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
All right. Ali, where did you go?
My phone died. Now I'm using emergency.
All right. We have our callers here. Let me bring on the first caller. That's our Darling Warwood. Darling, you're live. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you for having me. So here's what I was saying tonight. I said this when the president-elect Boakai was announced, when Mr. Weah read his concession speech. I said it on this very platform that I was more worried about the days ahead. Because, like, the names that you guys get through out tonight concerning who's going to occupy what position, we are just hearing the name of individuals who stole millions of dollars from past regimes and were never prosecuted. And these are the very people that are going to be recycled into the new government. I have not been optimistic about this president-elect because we're not going to take people from anywhere to come and occupy these jobs. It's going to be the same old people, unfortunately. So it's just the continuation of looting of our resources by people who think that Liberia belongs to them and that they will go scot-free. Like, for example, Jah asked a question as to whether we should retain, Mr. Boakai should retain the election commissioner, Mrs. David Etta. They're the one has an indictment hanging over her head by the LNCC for corruption, for money laundering, as he did through her brother when they went to where he stole some machine using the election commission money to buy some machine. Some sort of criminal activity went on and she was indicted. Why was she not prosecuted? She was being protected by Judge Weah. And these are some of the things we are talking about. So I'm not going to take up much of your time tonight. I will just stick to the legacy of Mr. Weah. Mr. Weah administration was marked by massive fraud and looting. In fact, Mr. Weah had to be lucky to be born in a country like that. Weah didn't become president because he married, because he worked for it, because he was qualified, because he was competent. No. Because he's lucky to be born in a country like Liberia that has 85% in the literacy rate. And so the fact that people are even hailing him for the conceded defeat, that baffles me. Since when conceded defeat became something that somebody has to be praised about. If you are defeated, you get out. And besides, Mr. Weah never wanted to be president in the first place. There were people who all by themselves were not really the president. And so they just used Mr. Weah as a means to get to the executive, to get closer to the economy. So let's not sit here tonight and pretend that Weah wanted to become president. Weah, all his life, he went to be president. He went to prison. He was beaten. Nothing of such. So talking about legacy, massive corruption, fraud. Weah becoming president, making Weah president is like taking a diamond ring or a diamond watch and giving it to a 2-year-old. What does a 2-year-old know about diamond watch? She was chewing. So Mr. Weah was just chewing on the presidency because he didn't know what to do with it. He's ignorant. He has no clue. Clueless man.
Thank you.
So, let me just end on this note. Mr. Weah, one of the biggest legacies he's leaving behind is that he had no political prisoner. He killed them all. He killed
Mr. Jah, please push back on that statement. Push back on that statement, please.
Don't mess with his statement, man.
He killed them all. He killed the auditors. He killed all of them. That's why he doesn't have a political president. Like I said, you are a clown and you'll be a clown for a very long time.
And you are a hateful person who have jealousy for George Weah in your heart and will remain there forever. So thank you. Thank you for your call.
Mr. Flomo Livingston, go ahead.
You got to mute him. We can't do that.
Yeah, great show, Danisha. Danisha, I want to say thank you for reading that Article 63 because most of our friends from the CDC and some from ANC just live on propaganda. They don't read the Constitution and they just jump on and read because they are lazy in reading. Look, for me, I would speak on the election commission. I think she shouldn't be retained. They need to change her. I don't know how many years left on turning to be the election commission. Hopefully they can change her because look, the only reason people say she did a good job because the United States Department put all that warning that if anyone rigged the election, their family members and they will be denied visa. That's why most of the guys follow the rules. If the State Department did not give that warning, trust me, they could have tried to do something fishy. But because of that warning, that's why most of the guys then follow the rules. And George Weah, I don't know, George Weah legacy. The man don't have no legacy, man. The man played football on him. The Lunta couldn't even make the African Cup of Nations. So legacy, he doesn't have no legacy, only failure. He's a complete failure. That's why there was just one term as a president. And hopefully he shouldn't even come closer to that to the presidency again in Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you. Ambassador Stephen Jimmy.
Hey, good evening, guys. How you doing? Thank you for the show. And sorry about voice, man. I have some cold, but I just been following the show. And I don't know. When people sitting on such a platform that everybody watching, listening, I think we have to get information that to help our children coming us to follow all the listening and then do the same. Was the government that come in, the new government come in, or the old one going? How do we tell the difference? What is the new or what is the old there? So I don't know what the people feel that people talk about job and legacy and this that. Okay, it's good that you say the man have no legacy. Just say absolutely nothing. But you get covered and get okay for the one they want. You know, it's so far in our history. You can be very honest with yourself. Say, okay, they want to take. I don't take this. I will take this. But now let me address the view of the new coming government. Americans who have been the spokesman all along, over here and there, posting data, the other thing. It was the people who had a poverty reduction strategy program, they brought 16 million. That brought noise. We didn't see any. Other colors just left all job actually all every other stuff. I agree that during the youth party time. And other people. What did the story go? Nowhere. So what is the difference? And sometimes when we follow investigation, some people live in the United States, there are so many things happening that they're similar to what happened in our country. They were lucky because we don't have no system to follow the procedure to find the doer or the killer. So everybody just blink on the government. That's possibility somebody can get a killer on girlfriend or husband, and you just know that because they made the auditor that government killed them. On your show, on small thing, there was a lady who came on the other time who was in the house, or I think one year so that was killed. And that night she said she doesn't feel it in the room with the man. She said, remember, it's not here, America, we died. Why did you do the room that day? And you said you're not drunk, why? And then you said you saw the people, you're not drunk, you're not sleeping. Why you couldn't recognize it? You assume that the man did not fall, right? Wait, if so, who shoot or who can the man kill? The question was being asked. But I don't waste your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Job time is over. We're hoping that nobody should tell us will really lower our expectation. For me, I have no expectation for Boakai. Why they coming, you go to change green and me go and down. The first day they won the election, he made the price. He told us that in 100 days, you'll be able to construct all the roads. Look at the major road. With the major road, I mean, from Morovia to Locatua, from Morovia to Grand Juliet, from Grand Juliet to Sando, the rest of the country. I can challenge him If you can compare roughly highway from Monrovia to Raleigh, you can compare another the one day. Any I'll get to him.
Thank you.
No possibility.
Thank you.
It's a PSP. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought we are done. You are live, Mr. Doe.
Thank you, Mr. Ja. Thank you. Thanks to your panelists. I think my observation of the entire conversation in with respect to Boakai's illness.
Nobody talk about Boakai illness tonight. I said nobody talk about Boakai illness tonight. We're talking about the kind of government to expect.
The Constitution, is talking about 63A of the Constitution. And actually, 3A of the Constitution, it stands for something. It didn't just get it from blue sky to say that the 3A. Boakai is that well that we're going around. People are saying that. So, you did something about it. However, well, let's pray for Boakai. Let's pray for Boakai. Boakai has a lot of promises, made a lot of promises, including his 100-day. I want to see his 100-day achievement. Let's pray for him. Let him recover for whatsoever thing that surgery that he's going through as we learn. Let's pray for that. With respect to Boakai's government, that will be the same old single. There's no difference. You have a recycle people coming around, the old and the new. They have in past government, they serve and they enjoy security in terms of unveiled presence in the country. And Boakai will be leading now with all those security. And he will only be depending on the security of the country. So let's see what will happen. And let's pray for the best as well. With respect to Americana, if he follows this particular discussion, I will pray for him as well. The CDC, George Weah, he did make a mark. George Weah was in the limelight when we were struggling for dual citizenship. He provided, he signed into law dual citizenship. We give him praise for that. George Weah prevented the country from going to war when war drums were being beaten by the opposition, the United Party. And we all saw that. We had rescue 1, rescue 2, rescue soldiers were all over the place beating drums. Coming from me that if United Party does not win, there will be no more country. So let's pray for peace and unity in the country, and let's pray for the government, the new government, to succeed there.
Thank you.
We actually pray for the work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you on the call.
Thank you. Rudolph Brown, your turn.
Yes, thank you very much, Kenneth. I just wanted to make this point that Elvis Morris and Victor Namwe were very, very fair and balanced in George Weah's legacy. And in fact, you have, and Mr. Sharif and Aliyu Kamara, I think you're very subjective. But let me make this point. George Weah will be remembered, especially for peace, just to reinforce what the caller before me said. War drums were being beaten, and that's for sure. We saw Joshua Bly and his group around him. I don't know, to thoughts or something like that, pretending to be like they really care for, the outcome of the election. And then we also saw.
How did Joshua Bly beat war drums?
I mean, like the posturing. Because I remember seeing on YouTube the group of chiefs, the people of men behind him. It wasn't really cool, the optics of it. And there was also aspect of the posture, the save the vote, protect the vote movement were doing on one of these networks, the Spoon Network. There was a program with guys like Sulu and all of them. The kind of posturing it wasn't really good, given the history of our country, where we've come from. And yes, he's going to be remembered. Remember his philanthropy, like Elvis said. We'll remember him for making the presidency accessible. I mean, I mean, we can criticize all the things and all that kind of stuff, but the common man could see. He projected to the common man that the highest office is possible. It's open. We can do it. Yes, he wasn't prepared for the office. That I can tell you. He wasn't prepared to be the president. And I think somebody said it happened to be the case that he was born in the country at the time he was born into Liberia with the level of literacy we have. Well, we take that. But still, he had to pay for it, given the time he spent with our people during the darkest days of our history. He was always on the refugee camp. You see him around places. And on the international scene, I think he did extremely well. He will be remembered for that. Given what's been going on in the region, in the sub-region, George, he will still be remembered as one of the best presidents we have.
Thank you.
He had his failures. They only show that he was a well-rounded person with his flaws and his strengths. You know.
What were some of his failures?
Well, I would think that I think it was Mr. Nangwe that said he wasn't on top of his game in terms of how he managed his cabinet, those that were around him. He did not have that grip on him, and it had to take our foreign partners, the U.S. The U.S. embassy was up. It almost felt like the U.S. embassy was running a sovereign country that is ours, Liberia, by telling, pointing the finger at who were the bad apples in his government, in his regime.
Thank you.
And the same thing, the same thing to like with the sanction that came upon those guys, Maggie, Twawi, and Serena Sheepers.
Thank you.
So yeah, he didn't reshuffle like Mr. Nambi said, which he should have done.
But if the government were doing good, why he needed to reshuffle if they were doing okay?
No, I'm not here suggesting that he was doing okay. Like I said, to reinforce Mr. Nambi's point that he wasn't on top of his cabinet.
Oh.
But this is not to say that there wasn't positive aspect of his government.
No, you talked the positive already. But thank you. Let me take another caller here.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the call, James. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Call out 267 area code, your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Perkins Slim Job. I'm calling from Fargo, North Dakota.
Go ahead, Perkins.
I would pretty much start off about good evening to you guys first. Later this evening, I went on you guys' WhatsApp page and I sent a message out. I appreciate you guys' show. And the words that you guys actually use is what this show is about. You guys provide education. You promote everything Liberia, and that is very essential for the young people. I really love the show. I'll be looking up to you guys to come on every time.
Thank you.
When I watched the Tough Talking Thursday yesterday, I wanted to call in, but I didn't have time. I was at work. And one of the topics was, should we as Liberians manage our expectation for the new coming government? And I think it was Dr. Dugley and one of the other senior guys, and just two of you guys. I'll just touch on that for a little bit, and then I'll go on to Josh Weah legacy.
Yeah, quickly, please.
We as Liberians, we are growing right now, as we can see from this past election. I don't care how much we love you at this point as an individual. If you're not doing the right thing, we are able to move on with somebody else, and that's what we have proven. Our expectation, of course, got to be managed. Managing our expectation is not like we should erase our expectation, get rid of our expectation. Should not expect anything that Jesus promised us during the election campaign. No, that's not what it means. It means that we should be able to control our expectation and be reasonable that the things that He promised will come along within time. Because we all know that's how life is. So I just want to touch on that a little bit. Now, George Weah, when he won the presidency, I'm in the United States. What I did was, just for the love of that guy, I sent $1,475 in my community to share among my people and influence them to go and vote. Now, whether they went and voted for George Weah or not, I didn't know that. They just told me, say, yeah, they want to vote. But I'm just saying this to say that was the impact some of us play even in our absence to elect George Weah to power.
To buy the votes? That's the impact? Is it to buy the votes?
No. That was campaigning.
Okay.
I didn't go about campaign and solicit that vote for the party that I believe was the best choice for Liberia at the time.
Thank you.
Within the first 6 months or a year, I automatically knew that George Weah was up for no good. So I was from day one. All my Facebook, from 1 year to now, when you read it, you know straight I'm against the behavior of CDC and George Weah. Now, the George Weah legacy, he will be remembered for peacefully transitioning power from to Joseph Boakai. Like everybody is commending him. A lot of people say the margin was not too big, so he would have, requested for recount, and then manipulate the numbers in his favor. He could have done that, noise will come, but at the end of the day, he will have the will. So the fact that he did not do that, he will be remembered for that.
Thank you.
Now, that's the good part now. Everything else that George Weah will be remembered for from people like us, the young folks, is his arrogant behavior, his greediness, his wicked and evil behavior towards the Liberian people. George Weah is the most heartless president we have ever had in our history. This guy cared less about Liberia. You can tell in the first 2 to 3 years, George Weah was done with Liberian presidency. George Weah was broke. He was looking for money to continue his lifestyle. George Weah have appetite, huge appetite for women and fun. So what he did to our country will be remembered for life. You understand?
Thank you.
Yes. I'm going to just stop there for now because I want to. So much on my mind that I want to express here, and I don't have the time. And so I'm it's coming out. But yes, George Weah will be remembered for the most corrupt guy in country history ever, the most lawless president or lawless government ever, and the killing of innocent people as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Ooh. Okay, we got 2 more callers there, and then we're going to call you Emmanuel Tukba and Sarah Sinner. Let's start with Emmanuel.
Yes. Thank you. This is my first time. I'm a first-time caller on your show.
Thank you so much for calling.
Yeah, I've been following your show a lot. But today I just wanted to call since the regime is dying already. So, okay, so let me give the negative first, and then I'll give the positive. The negative is that I think I only have one negative for the president, which is he outsourced the governance of the country to his cabinet ministers. What am I saying? There's no during his 6 years of being at the helm of power in Liberia, the president made no public policy statement. The economy was in status. He did not make any statement. It was the finance minister making statements. He did not address the country on economic issues. I mean, we saw Ellen when during her term, what she did. We saw Sandra do what he did during his term when he was president of Liberia during the time of hardship. The president did nothing like that. In terms of the killings that went on in the country, he outsourced that to the justice minister to make comment or to make statement. He did not say anything. So in my book, I think that is the one big main negative he has, outsourcing the governance of the country to his cabinet minister. Like the cabinet ministers were the president, and he was like, somebody working for them.
So he didn't outsource. He delegated, right?
I think he's outsourced. That's not to me. That's not dedicated.
If they are working for him, he can't outsource it to them. He's only delegating responsibilities, right?
Well, when you dedicate responsibility to people, you take responsibility of that actions. So if the people in the country, for example, during the map exercise, the 25 million and all thing that went on, when he took over newly, right? So people were in the country, people were demonstrating. The president should have addressed the country, but giving the prime minister that leeway to do anything or say anything that was wrong. To you, he said he dedicated, but to me, he absolutely governance of the country, the governance of the country to the people.
Thank you.
Imambo.
Thank you.
All right. And positive side, the positive side, as a practitioner of as a public financial management practitioner, I think he did the policy of the harmonization. The harmonization, this thing has been in terms of our how do you harmonize government wage bill across government. I remember I said sometime in the Ministry of Finance, I was an advisor before the Finance Ministry. I even ran the public financial management you did there. And in a senior staff meeting, some of these things came up. Even at the Ministry of Finance, I can remember during the tenure when Gafan was Finance Minister, I was in the Ministry of Finance to even make the salary of finance ministry people, employees across the full departments to be objective was very difficult. So I think it was revolutionized. Imambo, I understand that this has been passed in the legislature, now it's an act of legislature that it went through the whole process. I think what needs to be done now for the new government is to see how they can build on this. On this policy. So to me, that was a good thing in terms of public financial landscape.
Thank you, Manuel. Thank you. Our time is fast spent. Yeah. So let me bring in the last caller here. If you can conclude in the next 30 seconds.
Oh, me?
Yeah. Just conclude in the next 10 seconds.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. So the second thing is that the free tuition for public university and colleges. The third thing is the wide fees for all students, 12th grade and I think 9th grade. Those three things, the positive three, will be very difficult to undo by the unity party government coming into play.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me take the last caller here. That's Sarah Sinner. Sarah's your live. Go ahead. 1 minute, please.
Yeah, so probably because I'm the last, so my time has been reduced. Anyway, I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And let me say thank you for your coming to your panelists. So, quick, for those who think that the issue of governance, like take for example, people who serve in any government and those who people are looking, like take for example the issue of American and other people who serve in the past government. The question others are asking, who will be those who will be serving in Joe Parker government? But I think we are in this great United States. When Democrats come, there are people who serve in Obama government that are serving in our body government. So that's not a crime. The next thing is the best thing to do in order to not talk loosely is to be able to conduct an audit. And those who are held culpable of abusing public financial management or governance should be brought to justice. When that is done, people will not be throwing allegations here and there. With those who think the issue, when Boakai made a statement that there will be no liability, who think that there was a war drum or the guy was, singing war drum, I think they lack the understanding. How is it possible that people go and attack Milton Bly or quote-unquote Bob Naked, and when he come up to say it, how is it a war drum that he's beating? With respect to President George Weah's governance or his leadership, I think that President George Weah's leadership took that bastardized governance to the extent that there was no means of, even though there was no the issue of rule of law was not observed to the extent that people who serve tenure positions, and ambassadors will leave his assignment and go to Liberia to go run campaign. That people who are serving tenure positions will leave their positions, go in either land and go and be running campaign. That was something that did not represent the rule of law. And then more towards the issue of the killings that take place. Look, there is nothing that this government could have done in terms of going to, take for example, Lone Star Orange to ask for, the guys' phone numbers to be able to do proper investigation. But guess what? The government failed to do all of those things, and it's still the president of the Republic of Liberia on national radio to say that these guys, some of these guys were doing having sex in a car. That is a terrible thing in our country. So I think for those who think that the government was behind the murder of those auditors, and I think to some extent they are right, because if the government was not behind, a government was going to institute an investigation that will be able to bring the perpetrator to justice, but none were done. So I think with respect to Georgia's legacy, I think his legacy has to do with out of politics, I think football, and then within politics, I think the regularness in leadership is the greatest for me legacy that we Liberians will remember George Weah for. Thank you for the opportunity, and I want to give it back to you.
Thank you, Saros. Thank you, gentlemen. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we have FOL Marketplace. The economy Boakai is inheriting from Weah. We want to draw the line in the sand, right? How much in the coffers that they are taking? Because down the road, we don't want the noise. Oh, you left 3 million. Oh, you left empty coffers. We'll look at the consumer price index. Where is it now? The roads paved, electric grade, WIAC fees, our student passing rate. All these things, we're going to look at them and say, what is the economy that Boakai is inheriting from Weah? Join us tomorrow at 3 p.m. on FOL Marketplace, where we talk business, finance, economics, and everything in between. Gentlemen, thank you for the night. At this time, we're going to go around the horn for your closing statement, starting with Mr. Aliyu Kamara, who is struggling now to hold his phone.
Yeah, thank you, man. That was very sensitive of you. I appreciate that.
Why you think I'm the best?
Listen, before I even make my closing, I want to make this controversial statement, and this is a recommendation to Ambassador Joseph Iman Boakai.
Why you keep calling him ambassador?
President-elect. But why not want to call him ambassador?
But
I don't know if you are ever ambassador.
You're already in the kitchen cabinet. Why you gotta come out here to give advice to the president-elect? Why?
But let me tell you something, brother Victor. I'm not one of those guys.
He was vice president. Why
did you hear me regularly?
Yes, but I'm not one of those who Boakai listens to. I'm not one of his closest. Okay, so I give this advice to Honorable Boakai. Among other agencies, 2 agencies have to be abolished, 2 ministries. The Ministry of Gender, number 1. The Ministry of Information, number 2. Those ministries are a waste of money.
It's not just gender, it's social, children and...
But I said the Ministry of Gender, you have to understand.
Yeah,
whatever nomenclature follows that, the Ministry of Gender, that's the mother ministry.
No, when they make me information minister, I can transform that information ministry.
Yeah, but I mean my question.
But information ministry, one of the ministry too that people still should be abolished. Then.
No, it shouldn't be because people look at information as propaganda from government, but the information of the country, the information of government. Come on now.
Listen, Mr. Jah.
Government propaganda. BBC called them, hey, what happened? And they lie, and present government. That's why people look at it that way. But it's Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism.
Yeah, but I'm coming now. I don't want to make my suggestion. You're not let me finish.
No, I want to cancel that suggestion because it's not correct.
We will not make you superintendent of Sano. You'll be a dictator. but anyway, anyway, look, we can make culture and tourism a department under internal affairs. You understand what I'm saying? We can also the Ministry of Gender. That's nonsense to me. All we have to do is take the children welfare and all of those things to two places. One, the Ministry of Health and the Liberian National Police, and deploy them at every police station in every county. Work as a civilian group working with the Liberian National different police departments. Having all these ministries is just a waste of money. There's no reason for that. Okay, so but anyways, I know the women will go on social media tomorrow and say,
let me just correct something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the budget. So what are you trying to accomplish by abolishing gender ministry? You say money, right?
But listen now. Yeah, I say money, but deputy ministers, assistant ministers, minister, you will not have that. They carry a bunch of the money.
Yeah, but compare that money to money that is being spent. Have you done any analysis to see, okay, money that's being spent with finance ministry alone, the budget of finance ministry,
but that's a different. But that's a different.
Affairs under, and what are these people doing?
That's a different. That's a different
budget of presidential affairs ministry. The budget of just presidential affairs ministry under Weah was more than the entire judicial branch of government.
The president's wife, don't forget.
Okay, okay. So that's an add-on. I'm starting from somewhere.
So the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection, you have to read about it and see what it's about before you talk about it.
Dennis, the Ministry of Health, though. I mean,
that stuff was under the Ministry of Health.
Yeah,
it was Ellen who organized the gender ministry, but that stuff was under the Ministry.
The gender ministry was not Ellen; it was under Taylor.
What I am talking about, Dennis, is the children and blah 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 services that you're talking about came from the Ministry of Health. It was already Ministry of Health and Social Welfare.
Anyway, let's do your closing. We'll come and talk about the ministry.
Yeah,
and Ministry of Gender is not only about women affairs. It's
about children affairs, which is very effective actually.
But what we'll say anything about women affairs? Again, let me make my closing.
No, you don't want to say the women attack you tomorrow.
Because that's how they think. And unfortunately, most of them get think one way. Because what we are saying here. What we are saying,
do your closing, Aleo.
Yeah, if I can be given a chance, I appreciate
it.
Yeah.
For abolishing ministry, let's concentrate on what we discussed.
But it's about doing my closing. Brother, now you're not doing nothing for me yet tonight. You're not helping me at all. Just keep this thing. You're not helping me. So that is my first suggestion. Like I said, among other agencies, I just highlighted these two. These are the first two on my agenda. First of all, you got to get these two out of the way, period. All right, put them under the ministries that are necessary for those things. But listen, anybody who thinks that Joseph Boakai vision to make roads, major highways pliable within the first 100 days is a fairy tale, that person doesn't know anything about development. It is mathematically possible. It is academically possible to make every major road, again, the underlying word there is major road, pliable in Liberia during the first 100 days. Very, very possible. But Dennis Jah, it has been a wonderful show, a wonderful time. We all together have to support this rescue mission. Not for us, as you know, for me now, 48 years, so I'll be 49 in a few days. So some of us now, it's not really about us. Usually when I say that, my mouth can laugh, say, look at the other small button like, oh man. But, it's not necessarily about
you
us.
You don't know your age. Don't try it, man. Come on.
We are close to 62, you see.
Okay.
So, man, you can work out with the same age.
Okay, so Mr. Gibson, I know you're trying to find someone. You're trying to find somebody to be your portrait. But anyway,
let make your closing.
Yeah. But anyway, it's always been a great time. And I always love to have Gibson on here. You got to bring that. That's the only man who can come in foreigner and enjoy it. Only Gibson. But thank you for having me. And I will just start right there.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Your closing.
Well, great show. For those of us who are student of history, we said this way back that history will serve back of Matthew right, that he was and remained the greatest philosopher in Liberian politics, the greatest thinker in Liberian politics, the father of the original multi-party democracy. Today, you can see the fruit of his labor. So we are telling you from 1978, when we joined the power movement and were young folk that you to call all power babies running all over the place, believe and trusted this man that history will be kind to him. And today, we have been vindicated. The gentleman is the greatest thinker that ever lived. Tomorrow, the same thing will be said about George Weah. President Weah have introduced the park and recreation system. And those of us who are in the United States know that the number one criteria for curbing crime among juveniles is park and recreation. He has introduced that. When we talk about education, free education at the highest level for the people at the bottom, the University of Liberia that were exclusively about 4,000 students, the best of the best. And you had to be recommended by someone to be at the University of Liberia. Today, the University of Liberia has an enrollment over 20,000. Makiwini, Beta Barcelo, you name it, from all over the place. And my nephew is benefiting from the agriculture department in Findale at no cost to me. That's great. Today, I am saving money because every day, every year, I will have about 6 or 7, 8, sometimes 10 folks calling me to help with YH fee. That no longer happens. That's saving money. Today in the House and the Senate, they are debating the bill to make these things codified. These are legacy. We are talking about the coastal highway. The president said that every county capital should be connected, and he was working towards that. Today, you are seeing the fruit of his labor. You can say all you want to say about President Weah. History is going to go down as one of the greatest presidents, in my book, the greatest president, under whose leadership there is no political prisoner. A man that came to the United Nations and said, I'm going to have a free, fair, and credible election, and he delivered. For we, the whole world is hailing him. He's the greatest president. Now the onus is on the Unity Party. Can they continue?
Thank you. And I'm happy that that is in your book. So please make sure you make plenty of copies so you will send to us. Mr. Washington, your closing, sir.
Yeah, Mr. John, I think it's been a healthy exchange, and I think we provided a lot of education for our people, and I think that's something we call on the show to do. I think it's an exciting time in our country, and I'm excited about it, not because there's a new government coming to place, but I think because there's a political evolution in our country, and I'm excited about. Now our people are getting to the point where it's about lead, follow, or get out of the way. And I think that's what our people are not doing. That's what I'm excited about. Hey, you come in there. You have to lead, you have to follow. If you don't, just get out of the way. And that makes me excited. That makes me excited that our people are ready now to say, hey, the Unity Party government, they cannot do but just do better than the CDC. If you don't do better than CDC, I can show them they will leave. They will not be there because they got to do something better than CDC, or else what is the need? So that's what makes me excited. People going to be looking, see what they're going to be doing, and see what. So that's like the exciting time for our country. We're watching and just wanting to see what will be the next thing they will do.
Thank you, Mr. Nawe.
Yeah, I don't know where Jerome went, but I want to thank him for giving kudos to Jerome Matthews and the rest of the guys, young fellows in the mid-70s right here on Staten Island, and they birthed the Progressive Alliance of Liberia. And look where we are today is because of effort made by people like them and others today who are alive, that, we have the space that has been created for all of us to actively participate in a multi-party democracy. Prior to that, it was the so-say one, so-say all. So kudos to the fellows. Some of them are still around. Blama Nelson is in Japan as ambassador. Some of them are still around. We congratulate them for the effort. But I wanted to, close out by saying, first of all, I am a little troubled by the attitude of Chairman Molu, Mayor Koji. I don't know where all this anger is coming from. They seem very angry. And making veiled threats. Elections are over. They need to face up to the reality that they did not deliver, and the people choose somebody else other than them. So they need to calm down. Their leader, who is the president, has conceded defeat. He is the head, and they are the shoulder. They cannot be greater than the head, and they need to settle down. They need to settle down and get with the program. Now, the president-elect, we are anxiously waiting for him. We're wishing him well, but we're urging him cast his net far and wide. It shouldn't be just the few people who are sitting in front of him. We're hoping that he's reaching out. Let him fan out to get the best and the brightest. There are a lot of Liberians throughout the world, some may not even be in Liberia, who could do a very, very beautiful job helping him out to shape his policy. So we encourage those who will be on the vetting committee. They shouldn't just consider the few people in the room. We saw what that did to the outgoing government. The outgoing government, they listened to themselves than anybody else. They didn't give themselves the opportunity of inviting a legitimate and competent sounding board. They were listening to themselves. So we're hoping that this incoming president will do better. We're praying for them to succeed, because that way Liberia succeeds as well. So we wish them well. Thank you for the time. It's always a wonderful opportunity to be here. Thank you for the space, and whenever I'm in the company of these intellectuals, my perspective is always expanded. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. You're closing, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jai, and I will echo Mr. Namba's sentiments. It's always a pleasure to share this platform. When I'm on this platform, for the most part, my interaction with most of these people are always positive. Mr. Namwe, Mr. Kamara, Mr. Gayman, I think my first time with Mr. Washington, it's always positive, because these are people who are responsible in their utterances. They don't just talk willy-nilly and make wild accusations without any facts to prove it. So if I'm pushing back on you, Mr. Sharif, it's because you make outlandish statements, and that's why I push back on you. I'm not here to disrespect anybody, but if you're going to be disrespectful in your utterances, especially for me, I'm going to push back on you. But quickly, let me just say this. When Darling Wellwood called on the show and said that the only reason George Weah became president is because he was born in Liberia and it's 80% illiteracy, and I'll just point to Mr. Gayman's point. People like Bacchus Matthews, Tipote, other people who are very much intellectuals and way more, educationally qualified than George Weah, PhD holders and so forth, never came close to the presidency. Some of these people who are talking and criticizing as president, some of them can even be elected mayor or selected to be mayor, because they don't have the political, pedigree to do so. So George Weah is a master politician. He won senatorial seats. He won a senatorial seat. He won a presidency. Something that many, many politicians in Liberia have been fighting for decades and have never achieved. So people always think they're better than George Weah because they can speak English better than him, quote unquote, or they can communicate better than him. That means that they're better than him. You're not. There's not. I can't remember the last Liberian that was ever a professional in anything who was the very best at it in the whole entire world than George Weah, who played football and won the highest prizes in the entire world. So don't compare yourself to George Weah and think you're even close to him. You may think you're smarter than him, but when it comes to politics, you're not on his level. When it comes to his professional career, you'll never be on his level. You achieved the highest in both of those realms. So don't compare yourself with him. And lastly, when people talk about him building more homes for himself than any other president, when people always talk about that estate that he built, when you look at those homes, we can estimate that each of those homes, they're not mansions. It's probably like 40,000 or so. People take loans against their salaries. We see government officials doing it. If you order George Weah and they tell you that he paid 30 million to build that compound, I will be surprised. Or even 5 million to build that compound, I will be surprised. George Weah had 3 homes in the Republic of Liberia before he became president. He had one in Monrovia. He had one in Rehab, and I think he had another Jamaica resort that he finished up before he became president. So you had investments in the country, and if you order him, you will see that all of his properties. Just where was senator, you have senators who are building universities. You think you can build a few homes, almost apartments for people to rent and use it as an income property? So people are just concluding that he's corrupt because he built these homes. He built poor housings for the Liberian people that he's going to turn over to the next government that's coming in. I think Toba was the last one that built estates, for people. So George Weah has a lot of problem in terms of his shortcomings, but he did a lot of good, and nobody can contest that he loved Liberia. He demonstrated it over his years of service to the country, and he continued to do that for the sake of peace. He turned over power peacefully, even though his cronies are calling for violence, but he said no. So let's give him props where it's warranted, and we can criticize him, when it's warranted as well. Thank you for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure, Mr. John.
Thank you, Mr. Sherry.
Can I just
so,
Mr. Sherry, just give me a second, please. Let me push back on my young brother here, Elvis. The fact that Tipote or Sawyer or Matthews is not president today, it doesn't necessarily mean that George Weah was a better president than they have ever been. Even in this country, Martin Luther King was never president.
That was not your point.
Well, but that's the point he's in. Dennis, you can't guess the point he's making.
Mr. John is right.
He made it clear the president Weah is better than other people, and that is not
he said they didn't come close. So
if you go down history, you'll find these space setters are never necessarily the leaders, but they created space. You got to understand.
He doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand. So
you're doing the same thing again.
Dennis,
you're closing, Mr. Sharif.
Yeah. So basically, ever since I've been on focus on Liberia, I have been a target of CDC people, and I relish that. I wear that with a badge of honor because these are people that have destroyed our country. So basically what they've done is they have their minions in Liberia and elsewhere. Some of them are sponsored in the United States, bootleggers of the status quo. So I don't care how they come at me. I don't care. I have been this all my life, ever since, 7th grade or whatever. So I have been this way. So nothing is going to dissuade me from that. I don't care what he says. So just quickly, when we talk about democracy, when we talk about elections and stuff like that, so let's not act like, we just started electing, based on more than one party, right? So Liberia started not as a one-party state. So let's understand that. There were elections held, even up to, the D12 Tubman election. Of course, Tubman destroyed the entire system at that point. There were heroes that we're not even mentioning. People like D12, people like Nettie Burnell. There were these heroes of those days. So you come up to the 80s, so it wasn't just Bacchus Matthews. It was also Henry Bourma Fambula, D. Concalo, those guys. So it was people who also put their lives on the line so that we can have what we have now. So when we're talking about putting these in historical context, we have to look at all of those and not to just say it's all Bacchus Matthew. I heard that Bacchus Matthew was the greatest thinker. When we're talking this way, it's sort of wild for me. And so that we're here now. It's an achievement for Liberia. We want more of this. I'm so happy that George Weah has been defeated, that he's not going to come back now, to do more damage to Liberia. He has done enough damage. Look at this guy, all the opportunities he had. He was a very poor man by his own admission. But when he got there, look at the first thing he started to do. He started to steal the Liberian people's money. He started to invest on himself. He started to fly around. He started to socialize, with the Liberian people's money. So what I'm talking about when I called into the show yesterday and today is that the money that was stolen by him and his minions, we can take some of that and develop the country. We don't even need to go borrow the money right in that country. Take the money out of their pockets, prosecute them, get their bank accounts, get all this money from Europe and America, get their real estates and stuff like that. Bring them back, get those into government hands, actually. Bring the resources back and develop the country, Dennis. And this is how, you're going to dissuade other dictators. You're going to dissuade other autocrats from damaging the country. Because if you don't do that, what is to say that the next president is going to do the same thing that George Weah did? If we just say, oh, let bygones be bygones. We're Liberian, you're going to go to some church, or some mass, and somebody's going to pray for the country and say, okay, well, you guys are brothers and sisters. Let's just let bygones be bygones. We've had a lot of that. And if the example is not set now on George Weah and his minions, this is going to continue.
Thank you. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We want to thank our viewers for also watching, and even those who will watch later. Now we have a president-elect, and the rescue mission is here, and we should expect little more. They say you can kill cow and eat dry rice. So, until then, we close with our song that says, "We are."
What does that mean, Dennis? What does that mean?
They say, according to our elders, nobody can give you the interpretation of a proverb. You have to figure that out by yourself.
All right, Elder. Thank you, Elder.
Dennis, that's a
Look, the government, they call me Mr. Namwe. So if they come in, they're going to eat some. I call me Vico Robert as well. That's the whole point of
I
it.
say you can't kill cow and eat dry rice.
Mhm.
Good night, guys.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Good night, folks. Thank you for having me.
Liberia people, Liberia.